Hello and welcome to the Saladcast on Sunday the 30th of June 2013. I'm your host Dan Train. Joining me today, Robert Kemp and Zachary Burgess.
Summer, it happened.
It finally happened for this one day.
Yeah,
probably.
Fuck.
Where we have to be inside recording a podcast.
In Dad's exceptionally hot room.
It's 27 degrees at least.
I don't know. I think I've had hotter rooms, definitely. Like my room in Southampton for the last year was
rooms that I've never seen that room.
Do you not remember my bedroom in Needham?
Yeah.
That was possibly the fucking hottest room ever created by me. It was on two sun-facing walls in a house with ridiculously good insulation after my parents had it fitted.
Yeah.
Like purposefully done to have cavity wall insulation. It was just the worst. Actually, that house was generally awful for like on the living room side. It was just always boiling.
It's so hot in there. Jeez.
None of your rooms are anywhere near as hot as our house because of a fucking giant burning fire.
The Arga of Doom. I don't understand.
If you set that up wrong, that will fuck you up real good. It's like what my dad always does because there's a knob on the back that's meant to control like how much heat goes into the central heating somehow.
Right.
And I have no idea how that actually works. And I also don't know what setting to set it on, so I just leave it alone.
2.
Quite possibly. But
2, is that your recommended setting?
2.
But apparently when Dad does cooking, he like fiddles with it and then forgets and then leaves it and then it just... all the heat goes into the central heating and it just gets insanely... And because of the way...
You think he should just leave it?
Well, he should, but or he should put it back. He should remember to put it back.
Does he turn it down while he's cooking so that when the Arga
there's more heat in the cooker?
Cooker, yeah.
But then he doesn't set it back right.
Oh, he sets it back too far, and then he floods the house
Yeah.
with heat.
Can't you just leave it off? Like, so there's no central heating going to the house.
Well, no, because the trouble with that whole system is you have to actually have it sort of in a balance because if you can't. Basically, there always has to be at least one radiator on in our house because it has to vent some of the heat out of the central heating system all the time.
Could you not, just build a radiator on the outside of your house?
Yes, you could, in theory.
For precisely this purpose, where we don't want any heat inside the house.
So basically,
vent it.
we just always have the bathroom heaters on, which kind of sucks sometimes.
Oh, so that's why they're always on.
Because you have to vent the heat somewhere.
Yeah.
And what other room?
I see. You need heaters on the freaking outside the freaking house that you can turn on and off to heat the elements.
That's the worst. Going for a sweaty shit.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, Rob.
Luckily, we have 2 bathrooms now. So, firstly, it's halved between them, and secondly, you can specifically choose whichever one of the 2 bathrooms is cooler at that specific time.
It is always boiling in your freaking bathroom. I never realised that before. Is that why?
Yeah,
that is why. Yeah,
amazing.
Well, in fairness, your old computers never used to help as well. Like, even at 64, your room was always pretty warm because of the glowing radiance of the Pentium 4.
Yeah.
64?
That's what my room...
it's 64 JB in my old house. Yeah.
So, that's what my computers always do, in my current room. But luckily I have more windows in my current room than I did at Jovian, the 64. Because I only had that one... And there was no way to really get through drafts through that place because then I'd have to go to your bedroom and open your windows.
True. Yeah, that would have to happen.
So if you were confused by that, listeners, Zach has an Arga Rangemaster style cooking system / house heating thing. So just look that up on Wikipedia if you want to know the ins and outs of that insanity.
Also, if when the apocalypse happens, there's a convenient supply of coal out the back of my house.
Yeah.
So you can have a convenient fuel supply for a few months maybe if you ration it.
It's not a bad place for the apocalypse compared to because if you lose electricity. But the trouble is you're in a dip. You want to be up high in the apocalypse, in the zombie apocalypse or something, so you can, look down on the zombies coming towards you.
I'm not sure the height advantage is that important for zombies specifically. And also in Suffolk, there's, nowhere that's high.
I know, but, they could come, over the railway embankment, and you wouldn't even know they're there.
Coming.
Yeah.
But then no one lives on that side of the railway.
No.
You've got the river before there's any more houses.
That's true.
If there's a problem with my house for the apocalypse, it is that it's in a river valley. So if there's a flooding apocalypse, then you might be fine.
Then you're in trouble, yeah.
You'll be the first to know.
On the other hand, our house doesn't get, there's no flooding. Flooding doesn't really come near our house because of the railway.
That's true.
That blocks off most of the stuff coming from the river.
Yep.
and then it's or you get, because in Needham it's like the railway bridge is the only place it comes under from the lake.
Oh yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Local knowledge.
Yep. Floods, apocalypses.
It floods down by if you are on the between the tracks and the
obviously
river.
The actual side of the river between the railway.
Yeah, that happens.
Lots of floods.
Down by the camping grounds.
But we're pretty good. And also theoretically for the apocalypse, you could even maybe, if you had some skill, you could repair the pump that's down on the front path. Because that used to work at one point.
Did it?
I think, when we moved in, it still slightly functioned. You probably would have wanted to drink it even then. But
What, did it pump water from?
From out of the aquifer, I mean. Because it's right down in the bottom of the valley, so it's like...
Oh, okay.
Not that far down.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Or you could just go down to Pump Street at the other end of Needham.
Which also doesn't work.
No. But that one's probably in a better state of repair than the one at our house.
It depends how many cars have hit it.
Yeah, maybe.
It is just right there. Like in the middle of the street, pretty
So yeah, Needham Market clearly the stronghold for your apocalyptic needs.
Well, it's got a relatively... Well, I suppose any kind of, small village may be the best place for... Oh, I don't know. Just how much food is there going to be accessible in a small village is the question. Do you really need to be in on the outskirts of a city so you can go to just Asda or something?
Yeah, but that would all get looted in a day.
So will co-op.
Yeah, but the point is there's more people in they're more concentrated. So even if you consider that lots of people might be dead, there's still a higher concentration population in the cities who are going to loot all the food. So you'd be sharing it between more people, maybe.
It depends on what the ratio of food to people is at any one time in the city centre.
Do you think Suffolk's the best place to be in terms of sustaining yourself with agriculture? You could,
yeah, probably.
That's not a bad place. Probably.
Well, I think the main
we don't get a lot of rain.
Well, no, but the problem with that is it might not be fertile because it's probably by now it's all reliant on fertilizers. Isn't
That's
it?
true. You'd have to find the allotments. You go to the allotments and kill anyone who went anywhere near, and
fortify the allotments.
Yeah, that's the place to be.
You just have to find someone somewhere will have a book on how to farm organically.
Well, there'll probably just be a shit ton of dead bodies lying around. That's good fertilizer, so you know. There you go.
That's it. Well, it depends if could you fertilize with zombie infection. Would you then
depends whether it's zombies.
Yeah, would you,
it's if you eat a carrot that's been grown inside a zombie corpse, you can contract the zombie virus from the carrot.
I'd wager you would.
I don't know. Depends how long viruses survive out, whether it's a virus or whether it's a bacteria or a fungus or whatever the fuck.
If it was zombies, I'm not sure I'd fertilise my ground with zombies.
That's the other reason you don't want to be in a city in an apocalypse, because all those dead bodies.
That's true.
You get all that bacteria and shit.
It's true. It's not a good place.
Lower population density means you just have fewer bodies to shove out of the way. Clearly.
You probably want to be somewhere mountainous, to be honest. Don't you?
But then that makes farming hard.
Yeah, what would you eat?
That's true.
And also you exposure. You don't want to be too high up.
Yeah.
You could be a cattle rancher, in the mountains.
Well, assuming that cows can survive.
Yeah, they've got to eat.
Cows eat the grass, then you eat cows.
It's probably the transition from animals surviving the transition from intensive care and farming to practically wild farming again. That'd be the problem. You want to go out there to one of those farms that are already doing that, Angus beef or whatever.
Sure.
Where they're already used to the
what about
more
the
harsh
Wild
environments.
West in America? Those sort of relatively sparsely populated areas where you could become a proper rancher.
You just want goats, basically.
Goats.
Yeah.
Goats will do it. They're like cockroaches, only animals. They're like mammal cockroaches.
Mammal cockroaches. Really?
What? They'll survive nukes?
No, they're just hardy.
Yeah, goats are pretty hardy. You don't hear of people really eating goat meat very often, though.
Well, they do. Just not in our country.
I don't think it's probably not that nice.
It's probably not that great. It's probably quite tough.
But they do cheese, so you know.
Yeah, you can get cheese and milk and all that. Well, milk and then cheese. All that stuff.
Yeah.
And they eat random stuff.
Yeah.
More easier to cope with than massive freaking cows, I imagine.
Yeah.
Probably.
Although cows be
and probably quite easier to kill as well.
I'm not quite sure how much. Also, could cows become zombified?
Well, that's a whole different problem. If the wildlife starts becoming zombies, then you're in a lot more trouble.
That's true.
Zombie bees. Zombies. But then would they only eat each other? Like, do zombies...
Do they detect the brains of non-bees?
Yeah, are zombies species specific? Like, do like man zombies like only eat men, or would they go for your dog?
But you wouldn't be able to keep a herd of zom cows then, because they just eat each other, so you'd have to separate them.
But they're like herbivores to start with, so would they have any impulse to eat meat even when they were zombies?
That's true.
Or would they just eat a lot of grass?
But we don't have a particular impulse to eat brains, even though we do eat meat.
Well, but the brains that's more specific. I'm pretty sure zombies would just eat whatever.
It's probably well, the whole zombie virus thing is probably more a psychological disorder, isn't it? In that respect, as to why you want to go eat. We don't really necessarily eat brains, do you? When you're like in modern zombie culture, isn't it? It's all just you just eat people.
Yeah, they gave up the idea of the brains thing.
Well, it's kind of tricky to get it. I suppose it's kind of difficult to get at someone's brains.
Yeah, it's actually. I don't think most zombies would actually have the dexterity to get inside someone's skull, even if they are stronger than average. Mm. Skulls are quite hard.
That's true.
Relatively speaking. And zombies are quite fluffy.
Most zombie stories are pretty dumb anyway. Like, just how zombies work just doesn't make a lot of sense.
No.
Yeah. Didn't Stowmarket kind of have an actual apocalypse in the past?
Yeah,
of like
the Black Death.
Yeah, the Black Death.
Yeah.
What was that whole chain house thing?
Yeah, chain house road is literally because they chained the bottom of the road up to signify that.
Or supposedly, it's like I never understood that.
It's only symbolic.
They were like, we laid a chain down the middle of the road, and this half was the good half, and this half was the bad half, and that totally doesn't stop anyone walking across.
I thought that they just put a chain across the street at the bottom to sort of signify that past this point is dangerous.
Maybe, I don't know.
I thought the chain went all the way up the causeway or something.
Yeah, I thought it went up Chain House Road, like the whole thing.
Huh.
But not not like a fence. It's not a fence house road.
Oh no, the causeway was for taking the bodies,
the dead bodies, yeah,
to the
because Needham
cemetery.
didn't have a church at one point,
right?
So the nearest church was wherever Baden, no, not Baden, the other one.
Oh right,
so they actually had to take the bodies to that church. It wasn't just because
more local knowledge.
Yeah. History.
The history of Needham Market.
Well, like 2/3 of the population died or something.
Pretty much, yeah.
As is the case with most places, really.
Yeah.
In that time.
So that doesn't really bode well for, like, apocalypse surviving in small village.
I don't know, does it? That's a different kind of apocalypse.
It's a similar kind of infection.
And they survived.
Infection thing. Yeah, but they didn't. They just killed them. It didn't make them eat each other. So that's a multiplier, isn't it?
The other thing I always wonder about when you talk about like zombies and stuff, if zombies are eating each other or are eating
living,
how many humans are actually do they leave enough uneaten that they can turn into zombies? If you know what I mean, what's the ratio of how much person has to be eaten before they just die as opposed to going zombie?
Yeah, I guess like in most cases, zombies are mostly intact. It's not like most of them are missing an arm or something where that's been eaten. Yeah,
so it sort of suggests that actually zombies are the ones that like just got a scratch or something or survived an encounter and then they're like, oh fuck.
Yeah. They were hidden away enough to transition to zombies. Because presumably there'll be a point where, like... Because zombies only go after living people. So presumably if you survive long enough hidden away where zombies can't see you, then eventually you just turn into a zombie. And then they don't target you any longer.
Also, that's the other dumb thing. Yeah, if zombies aren't species-specific, it's like, how do they know whether something is non-zombie or not? And then wouldn't they just eat each other and then the apocalypse would solve itself?
Or like they'd eat each other and then they just end up with like one super zombie, which is like the toughest of all zombies. I
also wonder, like, not many zombie like fiction approaches the idea of like actually they need some sort of energy to power their muscles. Really, it's like 28 days later tackled that and they all basically starved.
Right.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
That makes sense. It's a bit like the War of the Worlds, isn't it? Like, they got cold and now they're...
There aren't many things that tackle that concept. You will just run out of energy and it won't take that long.
No.
But, I mean, presumably there's it's quite a long period where there'll be plenty of dead bodies. I guess they don't target dead bodies, though. That's the dumb thing about zombies. It's like, if they ate everything, then they can survive a lot longer.
Yeah, if they ate from fridges or whatever in the apocalypse, they could.
I'm not sure zombies are an evolutionary trait, though. It wouldn't be.
That depends on what fiction you're talking about.
Yeah, I guess. Zombies. Real dumb. I don't know why they're. Why are zombies like so ubiquitous now. You know what I mean? We went through a phase like, zombies were a genre, but now it's like pretty much everything is zombies.
Yeah, do you think that's
all
a phase
zombies,
or
all the time? Well, I don't know. Yeah, maybe, I hope so. Maybe it's like World War II shooters. It's like maybe there'll come a point where we're done with them.
I'm kind of hoping they come back, to be honest.
Well, yeah, everything in moderation.
Can you imagine a World War II shooter with like amazing modern graphics? That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, it'd be pretty sweet. I mean, yeah, you're retreading old ground, and you probably have to pace those out more.
You'd have to do it differently, which is, as in, not necessarily the Call of Duty 2 way. Yeah. You'd have to think of another way of doing it.
How many beach landings can you fit?
Can they not just fucking just make up a fucking war, for God's sake? Yeah. You don't have to have World War II shooters where it's based on the actual battles of World War II, and modern shooters where it's based on modern conflicts like Afghanistan.
The modern shooters are based on fake wars, generally.
Yeah, but do you mean you could do more what the Japanese games seem to have a fascination with, which is like European wars, but set in a sort of fantasy context, like Valkyria Chronicles?
Yeah, maybe.
I don't think that would work for a general FPS Western dude bro audience. Unfortunately,
I would really
I'd like to
see
play that game.
Yeah,
I'd play that game, but
the settings of those shows are great. Like, shows and or games normally work out to be pretty interesting because it's like Europe, but there's enough different and enough weirdness there to keep it fresh.
How dude bro-y is World War II even, man? I think now that we've gone into the modern combat age, it's like, can you go back?
Yeah, people don't fist bump in the 1940s.
No, that's true. A lot of people were big fans of that wave of things, Saving Private Ryan and Brand of Brothers.
Yeah, there was a sudden run.
There was a stage.
Maybe they need to do like Far Cry and go like Blood Dragon. That's even more dude bro, surely. If you set like a first person shooter in a like fake World War II except in the 80s.
Oh, that would be pretty funny.
What, like space Nazis and shit?
Yeah.
Well, not space, but what was that?
Neon.
What was that film where the Nazis survived on the moon?
Yeah,
and
I can't remember what it's called.
Iron Sky.
Or apparently the new Wolfenstein.
Yeah, now that looked quite... Yeah, that's exactly the new Wolfenstein. I saw the trailer for that. Obviously, the game's going to be shit, because all Wolfenstein games are shit. But that trailer looked pretty cool.
Yeah, Wolfenstein's one of those series where I really wish they weren't middling games.
Yeah.
Because the setting always seems so really quite interesting. And
well, this one was like super. It even had like Nazis goose tipping over the Abbey Road, like
zebra crossing.
Yeah, zebra crossing. It's freaking awesome.
That's awesome.
I think they could probably do without Nazis at this point, though. I mean, like
that's the whole thing of Wolfenstein.
But that's the trouble.
Well, what you need is more alternate history, I suppose. Games like what if the Russians won, or what if Italy mysteriously rose up and conquered everyone?
Just an FPS sequel to Red Alert 2, basically.
Yeah,
I'd play that.
Yeah.
Well, not Red Alert 2, Red Alert 1 maybe.
But you want really,
slightly more serious.
You want to do some really bonkers stuff, like involve like countries perhaps that weren't involved, or like little ones, like suddenly Zimbabwe takes over the earth, something like that. Or oh my god, everywhere has been overrun by Turkey, so there's kebab houses on every corner. It's not Starbucks.
I don't know if that might be a bit too like
racist.
No, a bit too like generalised in the alternate history in this.
Yeah,
where it's just like if there's just kebab houses everywhere, I think you've like maybe got a bit too simplistic in your alternate universe. That's the one signifying feature. Spread it everywhere.
I was quite impressed.
Like McDonald's took over the earth. Like,
you mean it hasn't?
McDonald's versus Burger King in an epic face-off.
That sounds like a game they'd actually make.
But you'd play as Burger King because you'd be the underdog.
Is Burger King even the underdog?
Compared to the McDonald's, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what if you're Wimpy?
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. Freaking Wimpy. And they'd be like, all the enemies that you were shooting, they were constantly shouting, "Fuck you with your knives and forks and your plates." You'd be like, "My burger's awesome, shut up."
So Wimpy would be all like, "Well, first, we need to get a foothold in America. What do? Go for Denny's." It's
allied with White Castle.
Yeah, take over Denny's.
No, they'd all trample all over Wimpy, wouldn't they? Yeah. Even White Castle. The In-N-Out burger.
But they could outwit them.
I can't believe Wimpy still exists, and it definitely does.
There's one in Ipswich.
Is there?
Yeah.
Probably still one in Stowmarket, probably.
Oh, yeah.
Is that one still there?
I don't know, I haven't been there recently.
I haven't been there in like 10 years.
No.
I see no reason to go to the Stowmarket High Street.
It's like ever. There's no reason for Stowmarket.
Well, Stowmarket has like there's a huge number of new houses in Stowmarket.
It's a fairly nice place to live, I'll give you that.
So
but
what's going
it's not
on
massively practical.
It's just got the schools, that's all there is, really.
It's got
that's what I'm
massive
wondering.
high school.
Like, the high school must take a whole bunch of more people now, because that's, like, doubled the size of the number of houses. Or not doubled, but, like...
The new development is massive.
Yeah.
I mean, really massive.
Huge. And you can understand why, because it's right next to a station with regular trains to London, and Suffolk is nice.
They're just branching out the commuter route, aren't they? It's
Yeah.
like, Ipswich is full. Move on to Stowmarket.
And it's got that Tesco's there and everything. But it's like, surely there are people who've moved there, a different type of people to your average Stowmarket people. Do you know what I mean? Like, isn't Philippa Lovell and stuff, like the Barlow type, they're not Stowmarket people, and yet they live in Stowmarket now. So maybe the character of the town will change.
What, to become a bit more arty?
You know what I mean?
A bit more sophisticated.
Yeah, potentially.
Stowmarket could be the new upper class venue.
No,
it couldn't.
That's what I thought.
It does have one thing I do want to go to in Stowmarket, bizarrely, is that John Peel centre for performing arts.
He's
actually looks really cool. Like, they've got bands playing and stuff.
I didn't know that had been done.
Yeah, I was like,
I heard about it a while back,
and it looks like it's quite well put together. Got good lighting and everything. They have some fun bands and stuff. And then I hear that they elected a UKIP councillor, and it's like, oh no, I don't want to go there.
As you do.
I don't want to go there. Anyway, Stowmarket.
Stowmarket.
So
I actually had a Burger King the other day.
Yeah.
It's been so long.
Did you go to the fancy new Burger King?
We did go to the fancy new Burger King.
Oh, where's this?
On London Road in Ipswich.
Oh, yeah.
It's where the McDonald's is. Because, of course, you have to compete.
Yeah, that's finished and open now. And it's they've changed the chips.
Oh, no.
Again?
They've changed the chips, yeah. They're not quite as crispy as they used to be, but they're bigger.
Oh.
They're
like, what bigger chips?
They're not they like oven chips, like freaking...
No, they're not thick like,
McCain
like
home fries.
Pub chips or anything, but they are a little bit thicker. And it's like, no, you want the smallest fries possible for maximum filthy surface area.
Yeah. You don't actually want the potato, you want the crispy shit on the outside, but I guess it's still potato.
Well, it's like a weird dipping batter, isn't it, for like those BK fries? It's not just oil or something.
I don't even know.
What do you
it's because it bubbles.
Fries,
like
right?
the sort of outside of the chip sort of bubbles slightly, which suggests that it's some kind of light batter, I guess. Or... They still taste the same, but I found them not quite as crispy, and it's like, well, it could just be new stuff. It could just be new stuff.
Yeah, they might just be bad.
Yeah, but it's nice though.
Do you have a Whopper?
I had a Whopper.
Tasty. Remember that time I asked for a Whopper in McDonald's? Or no, it was the other way around, wasn't it? Do you remember? Were you there?
A Big Mac at BK. No,
yeah. It was in Southampton. It was on the road up Burgess Road.
Right. Yes.
I thought you were there. I can't remember. Anyway, yeah, and I asked the girl for a Big Mac, and she was like, "We don't do Big Macs."
Oh,
I do remember. I do remember this.
She was like sardonic for some reason, which was quite funny. It's always worth it.
And it wasn't a very what's the word? Flattering accent in which it was said. It was literally like you say, "Don't do that.
Don't do those. Don't serve those. We're Burger King.
We're Burger King. You want McDonald's."
I should have said, "Oh shit, you're right." It just left and gone down the road.
It's like, but surely that's the same as being offended when you ask for like a Pepsi and they'd be like, "No, we only have Coke," or the other way around. Or, no, actually, who asks for a Pepsi? Like you always.
Some people do.
I'll have a Coke.
You always ask for a Coke, yeah. You always say Coke, regardless of what it actually turns out to be.
I tell you, apparently in America, traditionally, for all time, Pepsi has been marketed to black people and Coca-Cola to white people. So people like Beyonce will ask for Pepsi. Like that's on their rider for their
weird, like Pepsi. Gotta be Pepsi.
Gotta be Pepsi in my trailer or whatever.
Strange.
Well, that's not necessarily related to race. That's just people want what they want when they're famous.
So that's why all the hip hop all the people in Pepsi adverts are more
really more street.
Will.i.am and shit or whatever.
Not recently. Did Pepsi do that run, or Pepsi Max do that run of white businessman types that pulling pranks on their people that then ended in a mysterious, like, very white hip hop dance?
Yeah, well, I don't know about UK, but like generally, apparently,
it was an American ad, like that they just ran over here. It was all American actors and stuff.
Maybe they're trying to change their ways.
Yeah.
But apparently, traditionally, that is true. That is really bizarre, isn't it?
I suppose. Well, I don't know. Like, are they holding on to it as like a cultural touchstone almost? That it's like, hey, Pepsi were good for our people. It's.
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. They probably weren't. I should look up on it, but it'd be interesting to see how Coca-Cola behaved during civil rights and stuff.
Yeah, maybe they were very. Maybe they had to have two. Maybe they made two brands of Coke. One that was like the traditional black colour.
But wait, hang on.
And one that was like clear for white people.
No, but Pepsi did that.
They don't care about
Pepsi did that though, didn't they? They did Crystal Pepsi.
They did, yeah.
But it was clear.
Yeah.
That must have pissed off. That must have pissed off all the blacks.
Oh, shut up. What the fuck are you talking about?
No wonder it failed.
What the fuck?
Was New Coke secretly clear?
I don't know.
No,
I don't
it
think
wasn't.
it was.
It just tasted different.
Oh man, the secret racism of cola.
I mean, they already make Coca-Cola already make Diet Coke for men, and they call it Coke Zero.
Oh well, true, but it does taste different. It does taste different.
Diet Coke and Coke Zero are actually different.
Yeah, Diet Coke and Coke Zero have fundamentally different flavours. Coke Zero is much closer to normal Coke.
But that's the only reason that Coke Zero exists, is because men...
people, I don't like Diet Coke.
Right,
it's not because
enough.
I don't want to drink Diet Coke. I quite like the idea of a low, and I quite frequently get Coke Zero.
Right.
But it's just...
But are you sure that's not?
No, it's the flavour.
Sure that's the flavour?
It's definitely the flavour.
I wonder if they've tailored the flavour to, like, the gender as well.
Because it's true of, like, Diet Pepsi
Somehow.
And everything as well. Like, all Diet Cokes have this different taste.
Well, it's because they are actually... It's like Coke Zero. The whole reason it's zero is because of their 0 calories or whatever. Because it actually has different shit. It's like Diet Pepsi actually isn't as diet as Coke Zero.
No.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's like 1 calorie or something in a Diet Coke can or something.
Which makes it even weirder that the diet tastes worse. Because somehow, even with even more artificial flavourings, Zero still tastes more like original.
Well, that's probably the point, isn't it? They've probably come up with these new fancy sweeteners that are probably carcinogenic.
Yeah, probably.
It's a different kind of sweetener, isn't it? Yeah, you're right.
Because there's one, isn't there, that is used... Yeah, aspartame or
that's the stuff in Diet Coke,
yeah. That's, like, used everywhere, and it's, like, no one's really sure if it's carcinogenic, but it's, like, sort of suggested. But no one cares.
Well, everything is fucking carcinogenic. That's the problem.
Yeah. Too much of anything will kill you.
Well, not very much of anything will kill you.
Yeah.
Just randomly. That's the whole point of cancer. Random.
It's true. It's very annoying. And also delayed action, like you get dosed with a little bit of radiation,
wasn't it?
And then your random chance that was actually caused by that radiation is actually only happens like 20 years later.
Yeah.
It's like, oh fuck.
Isn't there some animal or something that they decreed it cannot catch cancer? Like, and that's current that they've discovered. It's like a mole rat or something, and they're
really?
trying. Yeah, that they're now performing a ton of research on these creatures to try and figure out why there's no reported.
Maybe they just renew their cells so fast that they don't have a chance to go wrong.
Maybe that's the key.
Mysterious.
Yeah, so it's weird. It's weird science. News!
News, cats.
Welcome to video game news. This is Happy Salad.
Welcome to Olds, because we're about to talk about something that was pretty much 2 weeks ago at this point.
Yes.
It happened like 5 days after we did the last cast. It's not 2 weeks ago, it's like 1 week ago.
It seems like ages ago now.
Yeah, but the biggest, massive, jumbo news is that Microsoft reverted all of their DRM policies to go back to a PS4-like model. Or a
360 type model.
Yeah, digital domain and disk domain will exist as two separate things.
Complete 180 on everything they were saying at E3.
Which, in itself, is like, I know what they're trying to do. They saw the numbers, they saw the sales figures piling up, and it's like...
or not piling up.
Piling up in one direction that wasn't in their favour, and, made a snap decision to say, we've really got to sort this out. A couple of people on the internet kind of, figured that they would go this route, but I didn't expect it, if I'm honest. I figured Microsoft would stick to their guns and try and sort out their PR and sort out and try and explain to us why this new move is a good idea.
Yeah.
Because they've got to try and appeal to the market that haven't embraced Steam over the last decade.
Well, I don't know. I think there's quite a few people who just aren't PC gamers, that might have liked the Steam model, so I don't.
Yeah, and
they're not the kind of people
extent, some of that's still going to exist. You're still going to have the digital distribution side. All of that's going to be there. But, naturally, people doubt Microsoft's ability to run sales, blah, 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 their ability to run games in a sort of sensible sort of way, I suppose. I don't know how I feel about it, really, because, this is going to benefit a lot of people. They removed, as part of this as well, the online checks.
Yep.
So the Xbox doesn't need to check anymore.
No dialing home.
And there's going to be instead of changing all the Xboxes that have already been presumably have already been produced, there's going to be a day one patch to revert that.
Well, there's going to be a day one patch regardless.
Not probably, but
for everything ever.
Yeah, day one patches. It's kind of a necessary but weird evil, isn't it?
I think it's fine for games. Like, I understand that it goes gold and then you've got a bit of time with your dev team while they're doing the marketing and everything. You might as well patch shit.
Yeah, I guess. There's always going to be bugs that slip through.
Yeah.
It
day one DLC as well, if they've got time.
It does make me wonder sometimes if they don't care so much when the game comes out, and it's just like, it's fine, we'll catch it. There's a load of bugs we know about, but we'll catch them before it goes live, honest.
Yeah, that's
it's
true.
Like and maybe that's what causes the downfall of a few releases when they do come out to be buggy messes, because it's just like, well, you know what, we weren't able to fix all of these before release. And it's like, oh shit.
You're in real trouble if you come out with something buggy and then everyone reviews it before it comes out, and then on day one you patch everything and it works, but all the reviews are already out.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And then
surprisingly, that was kind of the opposite of what happened to Citizen.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, it all worked when the reviewers were playing it, because they weren't playing it on live servers and they weren't getting far enough into it to see where the actual bugs were.
Yeah.
So they all gave it, like, 9s, and it was like, oh shit, it's a big pile of shit.
Yeah. And then everyone had to sort of retract or post apologies.
I don't know. The sensible reviewers waited.
Yeah. Well, you know, most reviewers who know that they rely on an online service will, scope it for all. I can't remember the Diablo 3 reviews being that immediate. You know, when that launched, I think they took a while before
that's true.
Partly because of the service outages.
Yeah.
You know, no one could actually play. And they didn't make specific reviewer copies of that, did they? It was all just, this is the game, everyone go nuts.
I think they had some kind of early access. I seem to remember.
I think they may have had like a pre-order day, a bit like Guild Wars or something did, but not crazy amount. So I don't know what to think, because a bit of me is just like Microsoft were moving essentially where the industry will eventually be, but it just appears that perhaps people weren't ready for that yet, or people don't have enough faith in Microsoft for some reason to pull that off. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if that's because it's like a lack of faith in Microsoft, or if it's a lack of faith in console or digital distribution platforms in general.
And the internet.
Yeah, and the internet. Are people just a little bit skeptical of all that stuff still? Or is tech just not there yet? Until we have ubiquitous worldwide wireless internet.
I don't think it really kills too much, though.
Well, there are a few features that have been scrapped as a result of this, and one of them is the family sharing thing, which they never fully explained anyway.
No, they didn't.
So we don't really know what we're losing.
Yeah.
It was suggested that on some posts that the family sharing thing wasn't nearly as good as everyone said.
No, it was.
Right. It was actually just like a 1-hour demo for the second account.
It was rumoured to be like a trial access to anything you own,
sucks.
Which isn't anything like what they were suggesting from their wording from the original post, which is again not working in Microsoft's favour if that is true.
Disingenuous.
But now it doesn't matter because we never know.
We'll never know. We won't get it.
Never mind.
To be honest, the idea was kind of nuts. I mean, that would have been a pretty great way, I think, to convince people, hey, when you buy a copy of the game, you're probably getting 2 copies, and some way. But
I don't think that would have pleased the publishers or
probably
anything.
Not. Well, I bet it was a publisher opt-in feature. You know, like pretty much everything on Microsoft's platform.
No one would have opted in.
Yeah. But naturally, GameStop and GameFly and everyone sort of basically just turned around and said, hooray! We never liked the original plan anyway.
Yeah. I think on balance, it's a win for consumers. I understand why there's a backlash against the backlash. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
There were quite a few posts like that of like, oh, hang on, maybe we have
jumped the gun.
What have we won? Yeah. I mean, for me,
it's like, no, we haven't really won anything.
No.
Is the end of the day. All we've done is quashed uncertainty. By that logic, we've killed off something we didn't really know anything about because the messaging was so bad.
But Microsoft have fully humiliated themselves, basically.
Oh yeah,
absolute disaster PR.
Well,
I mean, in terms of
does the turnaround actually? Do you think make them look better or worse? Really, there's a sense of humility in the way Don Matrick's post was written. That was basically like.
It's a stark contrast with the way I was talking before.
Yeah, exactly. It was such a dramatic change, wasn't it? Yeah. Which makes it suggest that he didn't write the thing, to be honest. Or he was so on message that, they didn't even think about, being a little human, I suppose, with issues like this.
Probably wasn't going to lose his job if he didn't.
Yeah, maybe. But they sort of, there was all like, hey, we're listening. After an overwhelming amount of feedback, we've decided to change our policies and it will now work in the same way as the 360. What they didn't say was any kind of apology.
No, they didn't.
Stopped short of saying, yeah, sorry, we got this wrong.
No, technically they hadn't done anything.
No, I feel sorry for the infrastructure guys. There must have been a reasonable amount of work into making this thing work, especially the stuff that would have involved GameStop and used game retailers to make this system fly in the first place.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for those guys as developers because your entire system is just being scrapped, or at least
I don't know.
put on the back burner for Xbox 2. Whatever the next one ends up being.
It's not your fault though. You still got paid, and you've probably got more work now to switch it back.
I bet there's some developer somewhere in that team that's going, oh, thank God, my code was a pile of shit.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the same as any project really.
Yeah. They're just devs who have just got these decisions from way up in management and going, this is what you're going to do. And they must have been like, what the fuck? Why am I doing this? And then they did it, of course. And now it's being rolled back. They're probably all going, I told you. Fucking told you.
That is the problem with big team corporate coding, is that you'll get a direction. It's not necessarily a direction that you like. You just get given it.
It's certainly common in Microsoft from what I've heard.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting stuff. And of course, they haven't rolled back the thing that I cared more about. Like, I didn't care about the DRM stuff. I cared about the...
It didn't really affect us, I don't think, very much.
I cared about the big camera microphone thing that you have to buy that has to be always plugged in for the console to even work, even when it's turned off.
Yeah, that's...
See, I care more about that from a practical standpoint. I don't even know where I put the damn thing.
Yeah, I don't think they should perhaps ditch the concept of it being bundled. I think they should stick with the bundle.
Sure.
As in, because they want to get... I think Kinect needs to be out there. They need to make... In order for it to become more of a success, it just can't be a peripheral. I mean, that's essentially what made the Wii work, because all of its capabilities weren't peripherals. And same with Wii U, really. It's like, but that... obviously that's not really working for them either at the moment. But I think they have to bundle Kinect.
It's a shame.
But I'm not... So, yeah, you're right, because there's just other means of controlling that thing. It's like, what they haven't given us is the compelling argument for why you absolutely need Kinect 100% of the time.
Yeah. I haven't bought into that at all.
No. It seems...
And it really is bad timing with all the NSA stuff, because it's like, you can't trust them. I mean, it's not even their fault. Say you trusted Microsoft, they still have to comply with any court order they're given or whatever, and they have to hand over the data, no matter how, and they have to keep it completely secret and not tell anyone.
Yeah.
So it's like, even if you trust Microsoft, you still can't trust them.
Yeah, because there's powers above them that could be the problem.
Could just override them without you even knowing.
I wonder how this affects Sony, because Sony are obviously selling this thing in America. I wonder if they need to get... Or because...
Probably, but they don't have an always-on camera that comes with their console.
Would it only be skier? Well, yeah, I guess. The Eye is going to be sold, and there's rumours that there's going to be bundles including the Eye.
I'm sure there will be.
But you don't have to have it plugged in.
You don't have to have it plugged in.
True.
And I heard that, just to add insult to injury, stupidly, the Kinect sensor, the Kinect 2 sensor, attachment is proprietary for no reason, so you can't even use it for fun with your Windows SDK. You have to buy a separate Kinect 2 for Windows.
There was a reasonable reason for that, because there wasn't for the Kinect 1 they couldn't get the power draw
right
through the old connector, so the second revision of the Xbox, I think it was when they went slim, had a Kinect port on the back.
Right.
And you had the choice of using either USB or this Kinect port. I think my Kinect has both attached to it. The idea being that if you had USB, you then had to provide alternate power to the Kinect and plug it into the mains.
Right.
Where if you use this proprietary connector, that it can do all the USB stuff and provide power.
I'm pretty sure USB 3 could provide enough power, though.
I don't know, that thing is pretty heavyweight.
Maybe.
The processing on the Kinect 2 looks substantial. It's probably why it's so big, if you know what I mean. It's not just like a thin bar with just the camera on it and
you think it's got... Because I guess...
I reckon it's got a lot of onboard processing power just in that thing.
That's interesting, because you kind of obviate the need to do onboard processing if you guarantee that every console has one, right? Because then you can just make the console more powerful.
Well, it was kind of the design of the original Kinect, and I think they just extrapolated on it. The Kinect itself does quite a lot of
processing.
Yeah, like all the skeletal stuff just gets transmitted to the Xbox as, hey, the skeleton is like this right now.
Right, yeah.
It's already figured that stuff out, and the console just has to work out what to do with that info.
Yeah, that's true.
And Kinect 2 is presumably doing that with, with 1080p pixels. There's probably a lot more processing needed to handle that. Maybe.
Probably, yeah.
So that's my theory, anyway.
I'm just saying.
And there's also only one camera now.
That's true.
Kinect, isn't there? There's the emitter and a thingy, and an infrared camera as well. It's like there's two cameras and the emitter, whereas the new Kinect seems to... Well, as far as you can see, there's probably an emitter somewhere else on that black bar behind the black, probably. But, there's just the camera now. Which
is funny because it makes it more like HAL.
Yeah, definitely.
Right, you couldn't really turn the original Kinect into a scary mono-eye thing because it had too many...
There's been a lot of online videos where they've just, that bit in the marketing where they just zoom in on the thing and say, ready when you are, and they just fade it to red.
Yeah.
And it's like, there you go. That seems to happen a lot.
So obviously the real winners out of the Xbox reversal is Steam, because they have already, in the Steam Beta, there's snippets of code that seems to suggest they're going to do digital lending before too long.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So basically Steam are going to be like, you like that part of the Xbox thing? Now we have it. Fuck you.
Drop the mic.
We're going to show you how this works and how it should be done.
Yeah.
People may react to that as well, to be honest, but I suppose if you're in Steam, you're already in and you're already happy with
There's
the
not anything to react to, it's just a bonus.
It is a plus, yeah, because Steam is already the worst in terms of, the restrictions are pretty brutal, really, when you put it to, it's like you buy it, you're the only one that can use it, and that's pretty much exactly what Microsoft are offering. It's like, there is no transfer, there is no...
At least you can still download things wherever. It doesn't lock you to a machine.
You expect that from digital distribution, though.
Well, yeah, but it's like it would be like if you went to someone else's Xbox and then logged in your account and then downloaded that. That doesn't always necessarily isn't always guaranteed.
But it is on. Yeah, it is on the new system.
Yeah, it is on the new system. That's what I meant.
And it always was on Old Live. I could log in on Dan's Xbox.
But didn't
and get hold of any game I wanted, as long as I was logged in, it would work.
But the PlayStation had like a 2-system limit or something.
PS3 has a 4-system limit, so you can download the game to 4 systems, and anyone on those systems is allowed to play the game.
Which is that's why that's doubly weird. But it's still...
And they still have that system in PS4. They've just reduced it to 2.
Yeah, it's still technically a system locking limit. But
yeah, it is, which is kind of weird. You can delete it off that system, but their service will know that system has downloaded it in the past. You can download it an infinite number of times to the same machine, so it's not a hard download limit.
Well, yeah, but if you can't unlock it from the system, that's maybe the more important thing.
So actually, if you're looking at it objectively, Microsoft's digital operation, regardless of whether or not that was going to be the whole operation or not, but their digital side on its own is stronger than PlayStation's, because you can access your stuff anywhere. As many times as you want, on as many boxes. Which probably means Microsoft are just a little cautious of, what if these things red ring in some variety of magical way.
Xboxes break a lot more.
The Kinect camera just turns red, and like that, like the HAL thing, and it's like, that's our red ring equivalent now.
Yeah, I wonder where the lights will be on the new one.
There won't be. It'll just be an on-screen message, like what the new Xboxes do, because they got rid of the red LEDs, didn't they, from the ring of light?
So there's definitely no light on it that tells you whether it's watching you or not.
Don't know.
Well,
which I wouldn't trust anyway. But at least my Microsoft webcam has a light on it that tells you when it's on.
I'd want a red light, really. but I bet it doesn't.
I don't know if it's worth trusting it anyway.
Yeah. The red light means it's charging. As the old saying goes.
Yeah.
Oh man, No, you didn't. But during Portishead's set at Glastonbury,
right.
during Machine Gun, they did,
right.
Yeah. No, that thing. They had they turned it into like an anti-trident process, and they had like David Cameron's face come up, and then red lasers come out of his eyes and go whoa across the audience. It's freaking awesome.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it's worth checking out just for that.
Wow. They did. Reminds me of that was one of the weirder performances on X Factor last year. Someone had just, I think it was that well-spoken baldy guy like from up north or something. I can't remember his name.
Very specific.
Yeah. Anyway, he was like the housewife's favourite or something. But anyway, one of his songs just basically had this really creepy pixelated face behind him, and they put giant floodlights in his eyes, and it's like, brah! It was really weird. So anyway, the other Microsoft news that's been going on.
Microsoft knows.
They apparently have dropped patch fees.
I heard this.
You know, like for instance, if Fez
is this going
wanted
forward?
This happened in April.
But is this only on 360? Or will they do it for
I'd imagine it would be policy wide, so you know the whole thing will drop.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, they're dropping patch. So in theory, like Phil Fish doesn't have to worry anymore if he wants to patch Fez. Because
but he's not gonna.
No, he probably won't now. He's gone quite anti-Microsoft as a result of all of that.
He doesn't seem like the most stable personality anyway from that film that we watched.
Well, yeah. Was it Indie Game the movie?
Yeah, you can probably piss him off quite easily.
Well, him and his programmer have parted ways.
Yeah.
What a surprise.
So it's like, first two, it's going to be
brand new, probably.
Can't be brand new. Whereas it's like, once you've developed the technology to do that, that's like an engine, basically. Because it said it was, wasn't it? It was like the Trixel engine.
I guess, but it's all... They'll have to port it to some other platform, is the problem. Because it's all... It was all XNA, but I think they ported it to Mono for PC. But I don't think there's a PS3. They may be able to port it to PS4, I guess, because PS4 is more like a PC, so maybe Mono will get a PS4 implementation. But you know, there isn't a PS3 version. Anyway, fucking Fez 2.
Not for a while.
Tron Fez, but no, it'll be like another 5 years.
Yeah. You'll definitely see The Witness before that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, sure. Witness won't be too long after launch, probably. For PS4, I would wager.
Wow. I saw another look at the just some more photos of like a comparison between the PS4 controller and like the DualShock 3 or whatever. And it does look quite a bit better. Like the handles are like properly big.
Oh, they're bigger, yeah.
Which is super cool.
They're a bit thicker, a bit longer.
Yeah.
They still look a bit pole-like.
A little bit.
But that's the weird thing. That's like when I was looking at the new Xbox pad in detail. That's like actually that's done the same thing as well. The handles are a lot chunkier than they used to be.
Kind of.
And it's like, are they secretly wanting to bring back the Duke?
The Duke. Everyone loves the Duke. I used to really like the Duke.
It was quite good. I think the Duke worked for the launch lineup of games.
Exactly.
It was okay for playing Halo, and it wasn't too bad for playing Jet Set Radio Future.
It was pretty good for Project Gotham Racing as well.
Okay.
Because like you don't need the buttons really.
No.
Because the buttons were like quite uncomfortable. If you had to press them a lot, the
original black and white positioning wasn't great.
Yeah, but what was that? Switch grenades and turn on the flashlight. I guess. I don't know what it was in PGR. Probably nothing.
Nothing. Probably radio
headlights.
Headlights. Yeah.
I don't know if it even was. I don't know. I don't think the original PGR had night.
I think it did.
Did it?
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
I remember New York at night in an F50. That was insane. Central Park. That game was awesome.
But then you would. There's no reason for that control to exist because if it's a night race, your headlights should just be on by default.
Anyway. Yeah.
That was the dumb thing with headlights. Yeah,
it was superfluous.
When you're talking about like Grand Theft Auto, that's where you might actually need that in theory.
That happens automatically anyway.
Yeah, they don't have a control.
But they do that in the Need
There might be a control. I don't know.
They do that in Need for Speed games where you have a headlight button, but when you're obviously playing as a cop, that doubles as your siren changer. Yeah. So like in Need for Speed Hot Pursuit, just tapping it would change the sound of your siren, which means you can make it more annoying if you want to. But then if you had to hold the button down to turn off your siren, but your headlights would still stay on. So headlight controls.
I think in GTA,
unless you want to do something,
the horn, wasn't it?
Well, unless you want to do something clever, like where, if you're doing stealth driving, I suppose you want to like hide in an alleyway and turn off your lights. Or something.
Exactly. I'm sure that will be a dumb mechanic in some racing.
Well, it might be in Watch Dogs, because Watch Dogs was trying to show that they had stealth driving.
There's been several stealth driving things before. I'm pretty sure, like...
As there's, like, keep your distance while this meter doesn't go too high.
Well, yeah,
just dumb.
That's the classic. But there's... Because I can't remember whether it was a Need for Speed game or, like, that most recent Driver, but it had the idea of, like, escaping by just pulling into an alleyway and then quickly turning your engine off and just sitting there and waiting for everyone to go past.
I don't know. I haven't seen that. That would be pretty cool.
It would be, apart from it's never as cool as it should be. Because
it's always a really annoying, escaping people mechanics are always really frustrating anyway, because it's just like, how the fuck did you see me?
Well, yeah. But then it's also the ever classic problem of driving games of like, you can never pull off the really cool things that you wish you could. Like, if it was a movie, they'd, like, do an awesome handbrake, turn 180, and just casually roll backwards into an alleyway and stop instantly and turn their handbrake and turn their lights off. Whereas in the game, you're like, you're just, like, wiggling around.
Yeah, what would happen is they drive past the alleyway, do a fancy 270-degree turn, so then they can then reverse into the alleyway. Yeah.
It never works like that when you try to do it. You'll miss and then you'll just hit a wall.
You'll just crash,
Yeah.
What you need is the bus handbrake from Midtown Madness 2.
I hope they work on because it's really not a very big part of the game, but I hope they work on the cop chase mechanics in GTA 5, because in 4 was an improvement, but it wasn't quite there. It had that like radius system, plus like once you got out of the radius, you then had to avoid the dudes on your patrolling guys on your radar, and like there were more of them if you had a higher. But if you had a high rating, like a 3 or 4 star, I found the best way was to get on a really, really straight line and just go really, really fast.
Yeah.
And then you could just get past, which was dumb. They need that hiding in plain sight Assassin's Creed thing where you can just go into an alley or something.
They don't have chase helicopters, do they, in GTA? Or
they do, but only at higher star ratings. And then you really are in trouble.
Yeah.
Once you're at 5, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, you're just fucked. Yeah. So just reload.
Yeah, I mean, you can, if you're at 4 or whatever, you can hide in the subway, which helps avoid the helicopters, but they do pour down into the subway stations.
To find the dodgiest cubbyhole.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there's maybe something. Maybe I was wrong about that stealth driving thing being in a game, because I think I might have actually thought about this when I was just like, wouldn't this be how I was just like as a thought exercise, I guess, of like, how would you even do that in a game? Where I was just like, you'd have to have some kind of like fancy sort of QuickTime event where it would like, as you were driving along, it would show like an arrow where it'd be like, this is an escape route, and then if you lock onto it, it will do the maneuver for you.
Oh, could you? What, you mean a bit like the Batman grappling hook? It's just like little highlights where you could go here, you could go here, and it's like one at a time. It's like, just press this button and I'll get you there.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's like not actually a good mechanic, but that would be a way to make it look cool.
Yeah. Maybe it goes into a slowdown, and there's like some skill challenge while it's doing the maneuver. Like you have to keep like a balance meter, maybe, or
maybe.
So there's some active element to it, and if you don't get it right, then it will just fuck you into a wall. Or
well, that's maybe even worse than doing it yourself and fucking it up.
Yeah, maybe, but that would probably still be easier and give you more of a chance of success than actually just trying it yourself.
Yeah, I guess.
There might be a homage, because the start of Drive has quite a cool stealth car drive sequence.
Yeah, that's probably the best bit of that film.
Yeah, it'd be cool if there's a homage to that in GTA 5, because there could be, because it's set in LA, so that could work. I mean, the classic, because he hides under a overpass to avoid the helicopter. Yeah. And that's the sort of thing you need. Apparently, in real life, you can avoid the helicopters by just flying near an airport, because they can't go. Or drive near an airport, and they can't get permission to.
Yeah.
Well,
they can get permission, but it takes a while.
Time.
Yeah. So you can give them the slip that way. Otherwise, there's not much you can do, because they can see infrared. Like even at night, you can't escape into foliage or whatever.
Foliage.
Top tip: head for the airport.
Rules go.
Yeah.
So is that Microsoft news done? Pretty much.
I guess. I mean, have you swung back to Xbox One?
I don't think I left. Yeah. I think the launch lineup is more appealing to me, personally. So, that's kind of where I'm sitting. If I'm going to, rank it purely on the games, I'm sitting on Microsoft's side at the moment. Because I'm thinking, as much as I appreciate Sony's indie approach, I play indie games on PC. And I think that's where I'm always going to at the moment.
Yeah.
There's not many... Well, I suppose, does Dust count as an indie game?
Sure.
Okay, there's a few...
Considering it was made by one guy, I think that's pretty much the definition of it.
I guess. There are some indie games that I think play well on console, but...
Suit me by works fine on console.
Well, it's just do they have good controller support on the PC? I'm sure probably Dust on PC has the same controller support as the Xbox version.
Yeah, that's the trouble. The only trouble with that is the Fez you couldn't have played on PC until recently. True. So that's the only issue.
If it depends on how Sony ends up playing that game, I guess, and to a lesser extent how Microsoft plays that game.
And Braid, same deal, isn't it? You couldn't play that on PC.
Braid launched a reasonable amount of time on Xbox first, and then a PC version came not a crazy amount of time later, but it was later.
And you can't play Journey on anything in the PS3, for example.
No, but I do wonder, just how excited do you get for indie games most of the time? Do you know what I mean? I mean, Fez was cool. Don't get me wrong, and there was a certain thing potentially of if we'd have played it slightly more closer to launch, being part of the sort of crazy fervour that was trying to figure out the world before anyone else had.
Well, that's kind of the key thing, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, we kept ourselves separate from it, and it was still pretty cool, doing it yourself. But you have to make sure to stay segregated from the internet's musings on it to do that properly. But I don't really get that. I mean, I'm interested about indie games, don't get me wrong, but I'm never sort of I can't wait for this to come out, I don't think.
Yeah.
I'd rather them do, bake it for longer and it be good, and I don't really care when it comes out. I think I'm like that about most games, to be honest, at the moment. But
most indie games, to be honest, you only find out they're good once they've already come out.
Yeah.
There's no anticipation for something like Fez. Well, I guess there was for Fez.
Yeah.
But even then, no one really knew if it was going to be any good at all.
No one knew about its hidden side until it came out, and it's... Woo! Hide under the overpass.
Oh, drive to the airport.
There is Cambridge Airport.
Go to the overpass near the airport. Yeah, I don't know. Transistor, I think, is high on my radar for indie games because I really, really liked Bastion.
Yeah,
and while this looks fairly, it's got the same graphical style. Apparently, it plays nothing like it.
That's good.
And I'm kind of okay, how is this going to work? So I'm highly intrigued about that. But ultimately, I don't particularly care if it comes out now or in a couple of years' time. I will get it eventually.
Sure. So for AAA's...
Whereas DMC, I was quite excited about that, and it came out and it was pretty great.
Yeah, sure.
You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe it's a personal thing. I'm assuming there must be people out there that do get pretty pumped about indie, but especially if they kickstarted stuff, I guess. Then you must be pumped about getting that as soon as possible.
I don't think PS4 is going to miss out on big games, though, in its life. Certainly not.
It's not going to miss... it will have its own big games.
Yeah, exactly.
It will have its multi-platform stuff. I just don't think, as much as I appreciate their indie drive, that's not going to turn me.
Right,
is where I was going with that. And, everything that's announced for PS4 right now, not what normally appeals to me. You know what I mean? Killzone looks graphically fantastic, but I was never blown away gameplay-wise by the previous ones. Infamous, I've never played, so I can't make a judgment. Drive Club, people have had questionable responses about.
I'd rather play Forza 4 and 5 anyway. So.
People that played Drive Club at E3 were questioning. Actually, you know what? Some of the car modelling is fantastic, but actually graphically, in terms of the tracks and stuff, not hot.
Yeah. And
the handling is a bit funny, and they're not quite sure how the structure is going to pan out because they're going for a sort of live challenge sort of deal where it's not necessarily racing all the time. It's hey, do this thing here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's similar to Forza Horizon. I'm not sure. Or Forza Horizon.
Possibly.
Not sure. So they went, that came back with a little, we're not sure about this.
Sounds a little bit too test drive unlimited for my taste.
But then that's the crew, I guess. But...
Oh, yeah, that's true. Of course. That's that team, isn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, what I'm saying is, for me personally, I don't think PS4 has the lineup that I'm interested in, and Xbox has a couple of exclusives coming that I'm actually quite excited for Forza 5 more than I think I would have.
Yeah, me too.
I think it's because I've had so much time out from playing Forza 2, because I never played 3 or 4 with any conviction. That Forza 5 is now maybe this is a good time to come back.
Yeah, definitely.
And now that Drivatar has got me excited. Let's be honest, I want to see how that works. The geek in me is like, have they got it right this time?
That better come off, because otherwise they're in trouble. Well, no, they're not in trouble, but
it will still be a good game regardless. Yeah. But and also driving games seem pretty good, I think, for console launches. PGR 1, PGR 3, pretty strong launch games. The Crimson Dragon, when they eventually sort that out, Xbox exclusive.
I wish there was a freaking Wipeout game. That'd be so cool.
Yeah.
God damn it. Anyway.
What's Sony going to do with that franchise?
I guess they still got it.
They still have, obviously they still have the IP.
Why did they close that studio? That could have been awesome. Anyway.
Yeah. Maybe, I don't know how well Wipeout HD ever did. Do you know what I mean? In terms of its sales figures. And I'm not sure the PS Vita version did that well, because Vita wasn't doing well at the time.
If they put it in a bloody box, it would have sold.
They did eventually.
Did they?
Wipeout HD Fury came out as a retail copy eventually.
Okay. You know what I mean? If they'd done that massive marketing push they used to do with the old Wipeouts of having every freaking dance DJ in the country do stupid events and shit. They kind of made an event out of the launch of Wipeout 3, didn't they?
Yeah, Wipeout 3 was a big deal. And it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was a great game. So that's where I stand on that.
Fair dues.
I've been contemplating whether or not I should play the launch day game this year. I'm not sure I'm that fussed anymore.
Oh, bother with launch?
Yeah, well, I'll probably might pre-order.
Pre-order it and just have it delivered.
But I'm not sure I want to do the game day risk. Because I think last time, actually, when we were playing this, I wasn't as aware of things as I am now, perhaps when 360 launched. It's like I was interested and excited for it, but I didn't really follow it massively closely, I don't think. And it's... so by the time I'd made the decision or realised I had the money, it was like, well, I can't pre-order this, I'm going to have to game day it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm not sure I can be asked this year, really, actually thinking about it. I was at one point like, but I like a launch day, and I kind of do, but it's like, do I want that risk?
I don't like a launch day. I don't think I would like a launch day anyway. It's not really my style.
I ended up playing poker in Tesco's for the 360.
For a 360?
You had to get a core as well.
I didn't gamble my life savings for a 360, but no, we just ended up having to do that. Because they had it was a Tesco's outside Southampton, and they basically just had the cafe, but the cafe had closed hours ago, and it's like, well, we'll just go there and hijack a table and play poker all night. So we were there 4 hours early or something. Might have been longer than that, actually. It might have been 6 hours. Something stupid.
When did they open? Midnight?
It was a midnight launch, yeah.
Right.
So. Yeah, it's crazy. Poker made it all better. But I'm not going to have a posse yet, I think. It would be just me and maybe Kippers.
Yep.
And it's like, yeah. Can't play poker one-on-one that well.
That's true. I don't know, you might be able to find Eddie and Matt or something. They might want to buy an Xbox.
No? No, Eddie, friend of the show. No, that's his official name.
Apparently.
He's always been a Sony person,
so
he's siding with PS4 pretty strongly.
Fair dues.
I don't think Matt Macon, also friend of the show, has made much of a decision yet. But he's generally been on the Xbox side, so. But basically, from everyone I know, they will side with whatever console they are used to and stick to it. That seems to be the pattern. Even before all this crazy DRM bullshit was out there, it was just like, well, this is what I'm doing.
Excuse me. There.
Coffee boy.
Yeah, it's annoying.
Worse than me, somehow.
Yeah.
I'm going to be ill. I had it really bad last night. I had to have suck on strepsils. Might have to do the same just now.
Suck on Trepsils. Trepsils, Strepsils. Trepsils.
Trep the Trepsils.
I'm trepping balls on Trepsils. Yeah. Trepping.
So is there any more news at all?
Well, there was the news about Ken Levine, which is was totally retarded. It's like, well, for starters, he's going into... Right, the news is he's going to work on a film script.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what he always wanted to do before he became a game script designer. We're gonna have to try and watch Dan and preempt when he coughs.
It's really annoying.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Go and stand outside and eat that pill.
Yeah, strap it down. Strap it on.
Strap it on. Strap it up. So he's going to make a film.
He's going to make a film. But the really, really dumb thing is, and I hope you can hear me from afar here, Dad, is that the film he's making is a Logan's Run remake.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Just did that really need to be remade? Because
does anything need to be remade ever?
Yeah, I know, but that's a concept that's been revisited a ton of times.
So is everything.
So, some people didn't like The Island, but The Island is pretty much the same concept, but with a sort of for hire vibe. And stuff actually happens outside of the island building. Which, when Logan's Run, as soon as they get outside, it's just crazy cat man. This is the entire plot. And, naked bathing. It just suddenly becomes, this is far less interesting now. But it's not going to have, Michael York in it. An old man!
So all you actually want, the only reason you don't like the idea of, remakes of films is because they aren't the original. They don't have the people you like.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if Logan's Run is the right sort. Logan's Run is, was... I suppose the original film that was made in that, with this story, I guess, this type of, you've grown up... Well, I suppose the Time Machine was a bit like that in the future story, I guess, where they grow up in this society and there's this weird secret that they don't really know about. And then obviously it gets blown wide open when someone breaks the mould. But...
In that general of a...
I suppose the Matrix is
that
the
story,
same,
yeah.
Isn't it? Yeah.
It's there's a lot of films that fit that, like The Matrix or...
Yeah, I don't know, but unless... Logan's Run has so many iconic things about the way it does things, like the crystals in the hands, the renew, the crazy cat man. It's... What are they...
What's the swirly thing that kills everyone called? Carousel.
Yeah, carousel. Renew! I don't see what they could... I don't mind a remake when they put a twist on it. When it's presented in a different way, when it's different enough to warrant it, even if it is the same story, if you know what I mean. I don't know what they could do with Logan's Run.
Well, Ken Levine's got some ideas, I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
He said it was a one-off thing, and he really, despite originally setting out to do films, he definitely believes in games.
Well, hopefully, kind of owns Irrational, so...
Yeah. Well, who knows what they're going to do after frickin' Bioshock Infinite.
I don't know. Yeah.
Apparently they're going to do DLC.
Yeah, I heard about that.
But it's not DLC, it's just they're releasing all the pre-order stuff as a pack for other people.
Yeah, that's DLC, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess. But shit LC. That's what it is.
I heard there was going to be actual DLC.
I just realised what that actually means. Shitloadable content.
Shitloadable content?
Yeah.
Which way round does that even work? You mean it's you could load shit into it?
That is quite a good definition, isn't it? That you're putting more shit into the game rather than more good stuff most of the time. Or if you have to... what you're actually doing is making your turd playable. So anyway, there was that. I guess. So Ouya launched.
I guess.
Ouya?
Ouya.
I'm surprised.
I think the thing is that what everyone expected.
I was expecting it to be
more.
a scam originally, so I'm quite surprised it's
what you like the what was that thing called? The
Phantom.
No, not the Phantom. The handheld Gizmondo.
That came out
wasn't a scam either.
Yeah, that was
just really bad.
Yeah.
Well, it was mafia driven, wasn't it? Gizmondo.
Was it?
Yeah, it had ties, and there was really dodgy financing going on.
It still doesn't make it a scam. It just makes it a really bad investment.
Yeah, maybe.
They had a store on Regent Street in London. Ridiculous.
Definitely mafia.
So yeah, that came out, and it's pretty much what everyone expected. It's an Android-based thingy. The follow-on from this is that apparently Google are working on an Android-based games console.
All right.
So this must really suck to be someone like GameStick or Ouya right now, because it's like, hang on, are we just gonna get blown out of the water by whatever this Google thing is?
Well, at least Ouya came first. They got the.
Well, they're known. Yeah. Well, This is the thing. GameStick isn't far away either, and this is exactly the same concept.
It's like
but no one really knows of GameStick. You'd say that to someone, it would be like, what?
But they got the early people. They got in there first before people knew that there was a better one.
Yeah.
I can't imagine Google.
They won't go for the big guns.
No.
They won't be like a. They'll go for this weird mid-tier console.
I guess.
I can imagine.
Is that just a rumor?
Yeah. It's a fairly strong rumor.
Sounds odd. I guess. I mean, have they come up with? They've got some phones now, haven't they? Google, own brand.
Yeah. Well, yeah. They do like a showcase piece for
Yeah.
often when they do a new version of Android.
That's right. Yeah.
They'll drop like a Nexus or.
Yeah, I think my brother's got a Nexus 4 or something.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking hardware-wise, what do they do?
The One. Was it the One? The Google One was
They
their
do all
first
their
one?
laptops, don't they?
Oh, the Chromebooks.
Chromebooks. No, but they only have one that's a Google one, right?
There's been a couple. There's been a couple of Chromebooks.
I thought Chromebooks was
Well, it is
made by another manufacturer.
Yeah, it is a brand, but you could get Samsung, for instance.
That's
do
right.
them,
Yeah.
And I think they. Maybe you're right. Maybe they
only
did
made
do
one
one
Chromebook,
themselves.
and it was ridiculously high end.
No, there was two. There was the original, and
Right.
then they did the Retina display version. That's not Retina because that's Apple.
And the original was for beta developer type.
Yeah. I don't think it was. Yeah, I'm not sure the first one ever got a proper commercial release.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so that may
I wonder
happen.
how that ridiculous Retina thing is selling. Probably not at all.
I saw someone with one.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never seen one.
It's an alright thing, and they were basically saying, yeah, you know what, for the price, it's actually a pretty...
It's high expensive.
Actually, no, they didn't say for the price. I forgot how expensive it was, but they were saying it's a pretty cool thing. It's nice, well built, pretty nicely done, but the sort of limitations are there and apparent, and
God damn it.
you can't help but want a laptop when you use the thing.
Exactly. Multitask.
Yeah.
I think it was the high-end one I saw. It looks quite nice. It's a nicely made thing. I can't remember. Fuck it, I don't know.
Fuck it.
I don't care.
Fuck this news story, let's move on.
Why would I want a Chromebook? I don't get it. But
I did see some nice looking laptops coming out of Samsung. They had some event recently.
I thought Samsung were bailing on laptops, I heard somewhere.
I think it was Samsung. Yeah. They had some awesome new looking, high resolution, super thin ultrabooks.
Maybe it wasn't Samsung. I heard somewhere that a relatively major player was just bailing on laptops. To favoured tablet designs or
weird. Who would that be then?
I
Acer
can't
or something?
remember. Anyway, it's a non-story if I don't know about it.
Yeah.
So, with that.
But anyway, I'm pleased that finally laptop displays are now.
Hooray!
decent.
Yeah.
Long bloody last.
Well, now what I need to do is go to the next level of desktop monitors, like we've been saying for fucking ages.
Yeah.
Go more than 1080, please.
Well, you can get those, but
but they're not within an affordable range yet.
No, and I always worry that on desktop or on where I'm gaming, the more pixels I have, the more ridiculous graphics hardware I'm going to need.
True.
Which is fair enough. I mean, a game is going to look awesome in WX.
But I kind of think won't there come a point with a lot of monitor tech, I guess, when the pixel density gets to a certain point, actually upscaling other densities doesn't look so bad.
That's true.
Because I don't know.
I always like playing native though.
One,
I just add something about native 60.
Sure,
so then,
what you're getting it as good as you can get. There's the knowledge that you're getting it as good as you can get.
Yeah, and you need the more games improve, the more difficult it's going to get a good frame rate on 2560 by 1440 or whatever the res is.
I do remember getting Left 4 Dead 1 running on one of those Apple cinema displays, which was 4K. That was pretty sweet.
4K?
Yeah.
Awesome. Was that at your previous...
One of my previous employers, yes. That's pretty sweet. They didn't take too kindly to me trying that, but
never mind.
It's like, can you please remove this from this machine? We need it. Mm-hmm. You might like it.
Because I'm certainly, I feel like I've got two 1080p displays at work, and sometimes I feel like I need a little bit more room.
Always.
Yeah.
So, always want a bit more room.
So 2560 by two of those 2560 panels would be nice.
Yeah.
But then for gaming, that's the trouble. You need to spend more to get a decent frame rate.
Apparently, I might have to buy a monitor. Because I last night I thought I should stream this as I was about to play a game, and then I realised I only have one monitor, so I can't have the game on one screen and all the stuff that I need to monitor the stream and the chat and all that on the other screen.
Well, you need one widescreen monitor and use your 4x3 monitor as the secondary one.
Yeah,
because then you have more field of view. You probably get even better at Battlefield and shit, because it does apparently make a measurable difference when you can see a bit.
Fuck that, I don't need more field of view.
And there's some games that still do it in the reverse direction, like Bioshock did, where instead of actually giving you more view, it kind of just constricted.
Sure, some games, I don't know, but not your average game.
I don't need field of view.
Everyone does.
No, I don't. That's why I still have an old square monitor, because I'm hardcore. And I can be awesome with, like, less than 70 degrees of peripheral.
But it's clearly going to make you more awesome, right?
I don't know.
I think it will. Because, like, the cone of vision you have is, like, quite small compared to real life. Especially on a 4x3 monitor. So,
it's not even 4x3. That's the other weird thing about that monitor. It's always been weird. It's actually 5x4.
Right.
For no reason.
What's the resolution on it?
Like 1920 by 1280.
It's not 4x3 res?
No, it's... No,
that's
1280 by 1024.
Oh, no, 1920 by 1280 is a weird res. That might be a 16 by 10.
Yeah, I think...
Oh, that is 5. No, wait, 16 by 10 is 8 by 5. Yeah, so.
But anyway, it's 5x4, which is weird.
That is weird.
But I don't know. I've never really had any problem with it. There has been a very occasionally there'll be a game where it's like, hang on, this doesn't actually do native, because native is a weird resolution. And of course, there's the classic thing where you come to anything that has like, I think like Source Engine games have it, where it's like they have their special setting for widescreen to adjust like the HUD and everything, and it's like widescreen or 4x3, and it's like, well, it's neither of those, technically, but 4x3 is near enough.
It's like for a while, my previous monitor was a 16 by 10, and it was kind of not many games supported that properly.
That's weird, because that's very common for a while.
Yeah, it was. The 1440 by 900.
Yeah.
That's a common laptop res for a long time.
Yeah, and there weren't many games that actually liked that res, so they would... they liked the resolution, but they wouldn't necessarily get the aspect ratio within that resolution right.
Yeah.
So it would squish things a little. Or things would look tall, actually, was what happened.
But the other thing with getting a 256, like a higher res monitor, for me, is running... It would then be upscaling everything that I was running through a console. Like if I ran a console into the HDMI input, which I probably would if I didn't have a TV, then you'd just be upscaling everything you were outputting at 1080p. So your Killzone would be being upscaled. Which, I don't know, I think different people have different tolerances for the upscaling look of things. But when you're right up in its face, it's not so good.
Yeah, if you're nose to the screen.
Yeah. Well, you're a lot closer to nose to the screen than you are with a TV.
So that's what I mean, like 720 on the TV isn't that bad. I mean, yes, it is noticeable when you make the jump to 1080 and you go, oh wow, that's really quite sharp.
Yeah.
But even so, after you've been sat around playing 720 for a while,
you don't.
It's not so bad.
Yeah.
I had a moment whilst playing Dust, which I'll talk more about later, but there was a...
Not too much later at this point.
No, but there was a section in that where the pixels... There's a secret in there where at one point the pixelation of the screen is dramatically, intentionally lowered, so you're playing like a kind of very pixely version of the game.
Right, yeah.
It's one of the sort of indie secret, like, guest character puzzles that are in the game. And it's like, when it then eventually flipped back to like the full-on sharp mode, it's like, this looks a lot sharper than I remember it. You get used to what you view most of the time. It's
true.
I ended up then noticing some effects that I hadn't seen in the game before, because it's just I was just paying attention to the sharpness. It's like, what? Oh, that does that. Oh, that's really cool. Like extra ripple effects and things I hadn't seen. But anyway, yeah.
Right. What have you been playing, Zach?
Carmageddon got released on iOS.
Oh, no. More news. More stupid news that no one fucking cares about.
It's been free for this weekend, so I haven't played it yet. But
please do play Carmageddon. Has it got the green blood?
I don't know.
Dig up, like, the old PC version and
it might not run
that in DOSBox. I'm sure it will.
Oh, yeah. You would need DOSBox.
You should do a video for that.
I had a 3D effects patch for that, I seem to remember. Yeah.
That we ever actually really played that game.
No, you always just DOSed about.
Yeah, it was.
Well, the only reason for playing it was to get more areas in which to DOS about.
The only reason...
or do the weird car capture thing, which we never quite figured out. It's like there was the way to unlock other vehicles was you had to wreck them.
Yeah.
But then in certain circumstances, when they got wrecked, you'd gain them.
Yeah.
And it's like, but we never quite worked out what the rules were for that.
Everyone knows
if there were any rules.
Everyone knows the only thing you should do in Carmageddon is go and find that mine shaft that just has a load of poles in it and the pinball power-up.
Yeah, and just
that's the only thing. And just keep jumping down there.
Some of the best stuff about that game was just how fucked up your car would get, like really contorted and stuff. But then how surprisingly good the physics model was. Then when you then to drive on that fucked up thing.
Yeah.
Because like the wheels would be bouncing it all over the place and it would feel like it had a really wobbly set of steering and that stuff. That was actually, when you look back at it, that was probably quite an impressive bit of tech in what is a really, really old game.
Probably.
And a really, really dumb game to have that in the first place.
Yep.
So yeah, Carmageddon. See if the iOS version is any better.
I seriously doubt it.
No, how are you going to control that thing?
I'll watch a video of you guys playing that shit, though.
We haven't got, like, capture for the iPad. But...
No, that's the trouble.
That would be pretty funny.
If only you could make a video of the multiplayer of San Francisco Rush 2049. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
We could, actually.
Yeah, we could emulate that.
I have the ability to, through Dreamcast emulation.
Oh, yeah, Dreamcast. I was thinking of the 64 version, but yeah, you could do it on Dreamcast. That would look a lot better.
Yeah, it's a bit sharper. It was a superior version, although I'm not sure the music was as good. The music was terrible throughout, to be honest. But...
Yeah.
So yes. Damn it, what have you been playing? What have you been playing, Zach?
Boom!
Well, I guess I've mainly been playing 3DS stuff. The annoying thing that I discovered sometime this week, and the question being, has it always been like that, or has it been like that for a long time, is, like, I might have to send my DS in for repairs again, because it turns out one of the speakers doesn't work.
Oh, really?
No.
And I just hadn't noticed, because I normally play with the headphones on.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that sucks.
But that's, like, less of a critical feature, so I can wait for, that warranty is a whole year, so I can do that whenever.
Or you're just waiting for a number of problems to pile up and then go fix them all at once, please?
No, it's more like I'm waiting for there not to be anything happening in Animal Crossing, lols.
That's never going to happen.
No.
There's certain mobs that are quite sparse that I could slip it in. And it not like it barely took a week to send it in that first time.
Right.
And that was probably, they actually had to test for whatever that was, whereas with the speaker, it's like, there's probably just a bit of soldering loose.
Yeah.
They probably fix that in like 2 seconds.
That's true.
Unless the speaker popped, in which case they'll just replace it anyway.
Yeah. Well, they'll probably replace it regardless. That's just probably the default solution to any problem.
Yeah.
So yeah, that kind of sucks, but it doesn't really bother me that much because I mostly just wear headphones.
Fair enough.
Which is better, because then you can hear them. Actually, the speakers on the 3DS are fucking crap regardless, so better to wear headphones. Always wear headphones.
Better or worse than the old DS ones, or about the same? Or...
Probably about the same.
Do you even need the sound for Animal Crossing? Do you use headphones for that?
Not necessarily so much for Animal Crossing.
Just so you can hear that all the time.
Well, there are certain, like, when you're doing the diving, you can hear the bubbles of things that are actually off screen, so you can find them quicker, which is kind of helpful. So yeah.
What was Reggie saying? You listen to them for the moment to pull in the fish.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Right.
That audio cue does kind of help, because if you're only doing it, I find it more difficult to do the strike at the right time when I'm just doing it visually.
Yeah.
If I can't hear the splash as well. But that might not actually, I don't think, I'm not sure that was really what he was referencing, but I don't know what he would have otherwise been referencing. So yeah, I play quite a lot of that, I guess. Sort of. Not really. I mean, there's only so much you can do. It's like dailies, basically. Doing your dailies. 4 fossils. If it's been raining, 3 gyroids. Pitfall speed. And then that's it.
How long does it take you to do your rounds in Animal Crossing every day?
Not very long, like under an hour. If you just do just the basics. The more important thing is like now it's just a point of grinding for cash to unlock more stuff. But yeah, as everyone says, there's sort of three problems that have come up. Two of which are lots of people have said. The first one is like the money economy is basically fucked because they were like, you have your house and you pay off your house loan, and then you get another house loan because you've extended your house, and then you pay off that, and then you get another one because you pay off that, and then you just keep extending your house. And there's so many goddamn extensions you can do to your house because you'll have like you do first of all you do your building the house loan, then you upgrade your room size again, then you add the second floor, and then once you've done added the second floor, it unlocks like different options where you can have a basement. You can extend the second floor, and you can build 3 different rooms on, like, the 3 sides of the first floor. And then once you build those, you can extend those rooms. So it's just, like, there's a million goddamn house lines to just upgrade your house. It totals up to, like, 7 million bells or whatever.
Hey, why can't you just, like, pay for it? Why do you need these loans?
Because that's how they do the work first, and then you pay them. It's like the inverse. You don't pay up front.
Yeah.
But, it doesn't matter. If you have the money, you just pay off the loan straight away.
Yeah, true.
So, yeah. So, basically, they have this thing where it's like you're paying all this money to upgrade your house, but then when you're building the upgrades for the town, like new shops and, like, public works or whatever, basically you're pretty much just paying for those as well, even though they're public, because it's like, technically, you could wait forever, and the townsfolk would very slowly donate money to it, and then eventually it would complete.
Right.
But it's like, the thing I'm currently building, it's like 200,000, and like, if you just wait a day, the townsfolk donate like $4,000 maybe.
Right.
So it's like, really, you just pay for those as well.
Okay.
So you basically have to put all this money into everything. So, but then like, they must know that they've put this huge amount of money, they put you under this pressure to have this huge amount of money. So what did they do? They just added the tropical island thing, and then if you go there at night and catch the bugs, you can make like 300,000 quid an hour, probably, per trip at least. And you can go back there as many times as you want. So it's just like, they've introduced this new feature, the island thing, but basically they introduced it to counteract the fact that everything costs loads of money. Like, that's not a good balance.
The problem with it sounds like, is that you just go to the island for all your needs, then, and therefore negating the need to do that much of the day-to-day, what would be the day-to-day stuff in the town.
Yeah, it's like the fruit in your town is irrelevant because it gives you virtually no money compared to how much money you can make off the island.
Stack fruit. Yeah,
exactly. So yeah, that's the first problem. And then the second problem is another one that some people have pointed out, is that like they've put much more harsh limits on like the time progress of everything. Like the upgrade for the museum doesn't unlock until you've played for 2 weeks, and you can't get it any sooner than that. It's just like a hard-coded limit of that's the point when that appears. And there's other things like that as well, like the nightclub and all that sort of stuff.
Have you tried doing the Best Buy trick?
No, I haven't tried that yet. See if that'll even work on a European coffee.
That's a good question.
That'd be weird if it did. But yeah, it's just so, like, the literal time progression seems like people have been saying that it's, like, slower and a lot more of it is locked into specific times rather than just letting you get to it when you get to it. Mm. It's like the weird, like, I looked up the unlock conditions for the museum upgrade, and it was like 2 weeks is as soon as you can get it. But then the other conditions are like donate some number of things to the museum, and it's like, if you haven't donated that many things in 2 weeks, what the fuck are you even doing? That's not a condition.
Well, unless you don't play as much as you do, maybe.
No, I'm pretty sure you would easily manage that, even if you only played it pretty infrequently. Because it's like the whole point is to donate shit to the museum. It's half the game is catching the rare shit and completing your collections.
I guess, yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of dumb. And then the third problem is one that is more a problem that I have with it, which is like nothing's tutorialized which is sort of good, but also sort of doesn't,
You're never quite clear about how things work?
Well, it's not that you're not clear about it, it's like there's things that you might never figure out.
Oh.
I don't think you'd ever... I mean, it seems like probably the townsfolk will tell you about certain things when you're talking to them. But it's like, eventually, because that's just a random conversation snippet that might happen. So you might not discover this information until some point in the future. And even then, I'm not sure everything will eventually turn up in conversation. It's just like, it seems like there's certain mechanics that are never going to be explained. And when I looked it up and was like, wait, hang on. Because the main one that got me was, you go and shake the trees to get shit out of them. And, so you get the fruit, obviously, when you shake the trees with fruit on them.
Get the fruit!
Get the fruit!
Get the fruit!
But then, all the other trees, you can shake them and sometimes money will come out. Or sometimes a beehive will come out. And then the bees will chase you. And then if you leg it inside a building, then the bees go away. And then you just pick up the beehive and sell it for cash. But what they don't tell you is you can... It's really dumb. You can catch honeybees, which are just a type of insect that spawn in your town. But the bees that come out of the bee's nest are a distinct different kind of bee, and I would never have thought that you could even catch them, because they literally chase you as fast as you... pretty much at exactly the same speed as you could run. So if you accidentally bump into anything while you're trying to escape them, you're fucked, and you just get stung. But I never would have guessed that you could catch them, because what actually happens is, if you shake the tree and the beehive comes out, and then you immediately go into your inventory... Unlike literally everything else in the game, the bees pause.
Right.
Oh, weird.
So you can switch your net. Because originally I tried to do it by fast switching, because this is another thing that I mentioned last time. There is actually a fast switch for your tools by pressing the D-pad. So I tried doing it that way, but if you do try and hit the fast switch to bring your net out and then attach them, you don't have enough time, because they just get to you before you can pull the net out and swing. But if you go into the menu, the bees pause, and that's the only thing in the game, because time continues when you're in the menu normally. You'll see people walking around and other bugs will fly around. It's just this one specific kind of bee that pauses, lets you pull out the net, and then you can swing, and then you can catch them. And it's a different kind of bug from the bee, and it completes part of your encyclopedia, and it's I never would have known to do that!
That's kind of weird.
How do you find that out?
It was in a FAQ.
Okay.
That I was looking at for another reason.
Do you think that perhaps there should have been more of a delay before the bee comes out?
Well...
Would that have solved the problem?
It's not a problem of, the mechanic, it's a problem of you never would have thought that it would even have worked like that.
Well, no, maybe if there was more of a delay... Well, it's because of the pausing that makes it possible.
Yeah.
If it was possible because there was a delay before the thing came out, that meant you could then go yoink!
Yeah.
Then
it would make more sense. But it still doesn't... Those bees don't appear like any of the other insects in the game. The same... They're even not... Because it's like a swarm of bees. Whereas everything else is an individual insect. Even the honeybees is just a honeybee.
See, what that would the worrying thing, I guess, about this is that I would have the same thought process that perhaps I would when I was playing Viva Pinata, and then go, oh shit, if I can do that with these, what else is affected by this?
Yeah, exactly. And then there was there's the other thing I found out was there's some insects that only spawn on tree stumps, and the only reason a tree stump would exist is if you'd cut down a tree and then left the tree stump. Because normally you cut down the tree and then you use the spade to dig up the tree stump and it gets rid of it and then you're clear. And it's so you have to deliberately cut down a tree and then leave a tree stump just to get certain kinds of bugs to spawn. It's it probably will tell you that at some point in a random conversation, but I don't think that's a good way of doing it. It's if you're going to have an encyclopedia that is clearly designed for 100% completion, and then, you get badges for 50% completion and 75% completion. You can't have these things that aren't that work in completely different ways and then not explain that, or not explain that quickly enough.
It's kind of a bit... I don't necessarily have a problem with things like that when they're not explained, but that when they actually fundamentally just go against the mechanics of the game.
Yeah.
That's where I have a problem.
It's just, super annoying. And
I think it might not have been so bad if it was anything else other than the fact that they pause when nothing else does.
Yeah.
That's really
that one
dumb.
is really dumb. So yeah, I played quite a lot of that. I mean, I guess daily. I've ceased paying off my loans and building town projects because I also read in this fact, which had never been explained anywhere else, that apparently if you have money in your bank account at the end of the month, you get interest.
Oh, cool.
And it never says that anywhere else in the game, even in relation to anyone talking about your bank account at the start of the game.
Oh, how much is that interest actually?
It's probably only like 5% or something. But then again, 5% of like $1 million is quite a lot.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been not paying off any loans or anything and just stashing it all. So tonight, when that ticks over, I'll have some more cash. Hopefully. So yeah, that's that. Played quite a lot of it. And I also been playing quite a lot of other 3DS stuff. Well, mainly just Fire Emblem. Just grinding more of that. Haven't really been getting any further. I did a couple more of the story missions. The trouble is I've lost a sense of how powerful I actually am. Because I look at the enemies and it's like, oh, these are level 6 Tech 2 like upgraded units. And I'm like, can I take those? I don't even know. Do I have to be level 6 upgraded to match them? Or am I just naturally more powerful? I kind of lost sight of that at some point. So now I just have to experiment and like actually go in and see if I die. And then if I don't, it's okay. But it's also starting to get annoying because when they reach that point of being like the more upgraded units, they also start getting the skills that you get. The enemies start getting like maybe only one and occasionally, but some of those skills can be a right bastard and completely fuck up any tactics you have. Like there's one that cocked me up like several times where one specific random enemy will have counter, which is whenever you do a melee attack, you take as much damage as they do.
Oh shit.
And that's just instant death.
Yeah.
Especially because a lot of the time the enemies have more health than you for a start.
It's one of those weird balancing things, isn't it? It's like Final Fantasy enemies, isn't it? They don't deal very much damage, but they actually have tons and tons more hit points than you tend to.
Yeah, exactly. So there's like, that's just, you have to, if you don't see that, you basically just kill yourself. You have to use ranged attacks on them.
Shit.
And even if they attack you and you counterattack, that still causes you to take damage as well.
Oh, that sucks. I think that would have been acceptable. I think if it's like if you counter and then the effects don't apply on counter.
Yeah,
because I think several games have done that, haven't they, in the past, where a counter is like a special thing.
Yeah, it's like only melee or whatever.
Yeah, it's not interruptible. It's not. You could probably have immunity to counter, something like that on your, but counter itself isn't like a normal attack. Yeah. It's like a new different category.
But then it's just those random, certain of those skills are just extremely, because I mentioned it before about how you can have enemies that can pass through your unit so you can't form a defensive line.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that just sucks. And then there's the lethality skill that assassins get where it's just a one-hit kill sometimes.
Huh.
And that just completely sucks. You just can't let them ever attack you. You have to one-hit them before they even get a chance.
Should you reckon this? So are you beginning to feel like there are some mechanical problems with Fire Emblem in terms of how they lay out the...
Well, it's the fact that it's combined with the idea that your units can permanently die, which, as I've said, has been this whole problem I've had the whole time, where I have to restart fights every time anyone dies, because I'm not willing to let them die, because they're actual characters, because they have character.
You're playing their stories.
Yeah, I'm playing this, I should have had it on casual mode, where they just, if they die in battle, they just survive after the end of the battle.
Does casual mode also affect, battle difficulty?
No, it's actually separate.
Okay, that sounds like a...
Yeah, but everyone said before I started with it, if you want the proper Fire Emblem experience, you should play it with permadeath on. And I thought, at the time, it was because it would be like XCOM, where you could just get more units.
Yeah,
but it's not.
And perhaps play their story from the start. But...
Yeah, but it's not. You don't have that.
You're actually disadvantaged permanently if that happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the problem with that.
That probably would have solved it if, you could pick up other characters and perhaps their story could have...
replaced,
Yeah, I suppose the difficulty is...
Because it's not just a story, it's also, the bonus of their relationships, giving them in stat bonuses or whatever.
Yeah, and... we may have had this discussion before, because I can never quite work out if there are stories that you might not see in one playthrough because of certain combinations of units.
Well, sort of. It's like when you get to the S rank where you get married, obviously you can only do one of those per pair of people.
Yeah, but you could mix up the pairings, can you?
Yeah.
Okay. So if they could have a system, perhaps, if there were enough of these side stories, where if you lost guys, that they could potentially fill in a different side story.
Yeah,
and then because I guess where the system wouldn't work is if you ended up getting repeating stories.
Yeah,
like you bring in a new guy and he has exactly the same story as the guy you lost.
Yeah,
then perhaps that system falls down, which is a bit of a challenge and a bit of a content problem. But if they pulled that off, then that makes that system make a whole lot more sense.
Yeah, it's just like.
Would it be better if people died, they had one of these like bleed out timers, a bit like how XCOM does?
Well, I mean that's just like a mitigation thing. That's not actually really solving the problem.
No, but then it makes it. Well, I guess, but then perhaps the fact that it gives you a chance to make some of these mechanics that we're not so keen about a bit more manageable.
Yeah, maybe.
The idea of permadeath and situations you can do fuck all about. I mean, that's what really wound me up about doing some XCOM missions, and those were the only times I reloaded that game, was when a series of dice rolls that were just so unbelievably unlucky just happened that fucked up your key members of the team.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, this is fucked. It's like, and I had no hand in anything. If this had just played out very slightly differently, like one of the dice rolls came up as a negative instead of a critical fucking hit, then it's like this would have worked out very, very differently, and I'd have been okay with it.
Yeah.
Like, the difference between losing one guy and losing the whole squad would have been, sometimes comes down to one fucking dice roll, and it's like, that shit winds me up. It's like...
I think the devs should just monitor bad luck. Okay, this guy's having really bad luck. Okay, let's flip something.
Yeah, let's just make it normal again for a while. Yeah, I don't know how you manage that.
Because I'm sure it is purely luck.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, maybe you should mitigate bad luck.
Well, the whole idea of XCOM's way of doing it was that you could, because it was then people dug down into the way the random seed worked, where but it's almost like assigning a positive and negative outcome to each action in order. So if you do the actions in a different order, the outcomes will still be the same, but you can just waste the bad things on things that don't matter.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so you could do...
So if you know in advance that the third move is going to be shit.
Yeah, you can just do it on something that doesn't matter.
I didn't realise that was how it worked.
I think that's how it worked.
I thought it was like the seed was based on... based more on not just where the seed was in sequence, like good turn, bad turn, but that there was actually it was sort of related to the actions you took, also affected the randomizer. So if you did, say you moved a unit one square differently, that affected the outcome of that attack phase.
Probably to some extent. I don't know, but people dug down into it and discovered that you can game it, but then there's no.
Why would you do that?
Yeah, you don't want to.
Well, as an aside. Apparently the iOS version of XCOM is seriously good.
Of course, it's the same goddamn game.
I know, but we haven't really talked. But it is. It's not cut down in any way. It is XCOM, and that's commendable. They didn't take any shortcuts. Really.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So then the last thing that I played on 3DS, before I get on to anything else I played, I decided to finally stick in a regular DS game and see what the ridiculous scaling actually looks like. Look? Yeah, I think it looks fine. It's not nearly as blurry as I thought it might be, because for scaling up that size. Then again, I did only play Meteos, which there's not much to see there. It's like squares.
The slightly bigger screens must be nice for that.
Sort of. I'm not sure if it was just that my touchscreen was misconfigured, but I seem to be having trouble hitting the things that I wanted sometimes.
Yeah. I had that problem when I went back to my slightly dodgy DS, and it was like, I wonder what Meteos is like.
You couldn't play it on that.
It was pretty tricky.
But yeah, so I played some
Also,
Meteos.
I forgot how small the fucking blocks are in that game.
Yeah, they're pretty goddamn small.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them.
I'd lost pretty much all of my Meteos ability.
I haven't. I'm still awesome.
Modest too.
Yeah. But the thing about Meteos is the thing about Meteos on the DS is now my 3DS has these now you can tell I've played Meteos on it, where there's just vertical lines on the bottom screen on the touchscreen where you can slightly see the very slight scratching from repeated moving only up and down.
Yeah, that happened. I remember that well.
It's a lot more visible on my old DS because I played that so much.
I dread to think what your hour count must have been on the original Meteos.
You could look. I'm sure it's quite a lot.
It must be crazy.
Yeah. It was awesome.
It was a damn fine game. I wonder if they could make a fancy Wii U version of it, but then I suppose you're looking at the screen the whole time, so maybe it doesn't work on anything other than a handheld.
Yeah, there's no reason to have a TV in that situation.
And it kind of has to work with a stylus as well.
Yeah.
Because they did that Meteos Wars on Explar, and I tried playing that for a bit, but it just really isn't the same game when you're trying to put it on a controller.
And like the Disney Meteos, where they added where you can move blocks sideways, it's like, what?
Oh, that's breaking the rules.
Kids with half the game!
Yeah, you've made it so much easier. I suppose it was like, trying to... Perhaps it was a specific move to try and tone it down for the audience.
Yeah, I guess.
Because it was kind of... You could end up being totally screwed if you were really unlucky with the block layout.
Well, that was half the skill. It was like learning... It was like the whole idea of the different planets having different effects.
Yeah.
Like, where you find the bastard planets where, like... horizontal launchers don't work, only vertical launchers actually make it go.
So you have to, chain up a few horizontal ones to get a big group together, but then when you've got up a certain combo, then you can use the vertical one to make it just disappear.
Yeah.
God, it was a really clever game, I have to say. Meteos, I have a strong place in my heart for Meteos, and it had a lot of similarities with Smash Brothers in a strange way.
Well, like, the menu is practically the same.
The musical style in places was very similar, and... Yeah, that was a really quality game.
Yep.
But I'm not sure if they could replicate that on any other system.
No.
Other than perhaps a new version for the 3DS.
Or like a touch device, I guess.
I don't know, but you'd have to make things really big to work with your finger.
Well, yeah.
You might have to work... You could
iPad's got quite a big screen compared to...
Yeah, but even... Yeah, you may be able to get it to work on if you held the iPad horizontally.
Yeah. Well, different planets could have the horizontal or vertical, like they did in Meteos, I guess.
I know, but I guess in general, but you need the horizontal space is probably more important than the vertical space, maybe. I don't know. It's hard to... Unless it would force you to rotate the device to say, hey, this is a vertical level.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's what I was thinking.
Clearly, you want it on your Surface Pro with the stylus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or a Galaxy Note.
So yeah,
or that Nexus, I suppose. Nexus had Stilly.
That was all the 3DS. And then there was like one PC game, which I'm probably not going to talk about much because I think we may want to do a video of it, and I don't want to spoil things for Rob.
Alright, yeah, fine.
But I downloaded the Rogue Legacy.
Give us the thumbs up, thumbs down.
It's pretty awesome, although there is kind of like some... I don't know if I'd call them like difficulty humps. It's more like you sort of hit a point where you have to have a good run. Well, it's basically like...
It is a roguelite.
Yeah, they call it a roguelite, which is a dumb
term.
Because we're misusing roguelite so much. Well, now let's add an even more.
What's a roguelite game again?
That's where you die a lot, basically.
Yeah, that's totally not what it means, but that's why everyone uses it.
What's an original roguelike?
Well, roguelike was like the game Rogue.
Rogue. Okay, I haven't played Rogue, so...
But what everyone uses it for now is just like permadeath, which is not actually permadeath. It's like when your character dies, you start over.
You start over, but you may keep some of the things.
Well, no, but that's what everyone is offended by, the idea of a roguelike where you keep stuff after you die.
Or isn't... Well, because... Surely Spelunky's a little bit like that because
only very slightly.
Yeah, you make some. Your effect on the world is still felt.
Well, you make the shortcuts, but that doesn't actually help you.
I guess
because if you skip half the levels, you don't get the chance to build up the reserves of stuff. It's Spelunky. It sort of almost makes it harder.
But that was a trick, I guess, with a lot of old arcade games, wasn't it? So I could go from this stage, but then I will be in an unupgraded state.
Yeah. So
it's actually easier if I play from the start.
So yeah, the Rogue Legacy is, they're calling it a roguelite, which I mean, this has quite a lot of persistence between lives, because the idea is it's your children will avenge you.
Yeah, it's a bit like was it Infinity Blade does that?
Wow.
If you die, well, you can't finish it for quite some time. You have to go through the game several times. So each time you die, you get all your equipment and keep your level for the next
It's actually
run.
kind of ingenious how it does limit it in Rogue Legacy, though, because when you die, all you get to keep is your money, but whatever upgrades you buy with the money carries over to your next, to your children. But when you enter the castle again, you lose all your money. So you have to spend... You can.
Oh, I see.
You can only spend however much money you can make in one run. And then, if you can't spend all of it, if there's leftovers, you just don't get to keep that. And if you haven't, that's why there's like this what I don't class as like a difficulty hump, but there's like you reach a point where you're only making so much per run, but all the upgrades you want are slightly more than that. So you just have to keep running through it and hope that you get a slightly better run to just reach the amount of cash you need.
So it suffers from the possibility of actually getting sort of stuck.
Yeah, sort of.
Huh. That does sound like a flaw to me in that idea.
I mean, kind of, but I mean,
is there like a leveling system so like your character gets like stronger?
Well, I mean,
like, all the equipment.
Yeah, it's like everything that you pay for is like more. You have literal stat upgrades that affect your characters, and then you have equipment that you can.
Oh, so you have to buy the stats as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's normally, regardless, there's always something. I haven't had a run where there's literally nothing I could buy. There's always something that's cheap enough to use up some of my money.
So what I'm saying, is it possible to have like the shittest of shit runs and basically go back to the start? So you have like no money, and it's like, what the fuck do I do?
Well, but you still keep all your upgrades, so it doesn't matter. Even if you have I have had like literal.
But I thought you
runs.
said you had to buy them for each run.
No, you buy them it's permanent upgrades.
Oh, I see. Okay, so you keep all your equipment.
Yeah, you keep all the upgrades,
but you then actually have to earn enough for the next level.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. That's not so bad.
So obviously the upgrades become more and more expensive.
That could have been really funny if you had like the worst run ever, and you just go, "Oh fuck, I'm pretty much back at the start."
That would be more roguelike.
It would, yeah.
That would be more like harsh penalty.
Or maybe there's a hard mode in this game you unlock that's like that.
Maybe. But yeah, so you run through and kill things. It's pretty awesome.
Alright, so video coming up, probably.
Probably do a video of that.
Okay.
The idea is that I want Rob to play it, because if you go in blind to that, it's probably more funny.
So the learning curve is the interesting bit, you say, in that game.
Well, sort of the learning curve and the way it, like, just... I'm not even sure how to describe it. Like, the character of the game, I guess. Okay. It's like... When you see it, if you see like a video or a screenshot, it's just like a platformer with a dude with a sword and you hit things. But there's like the sort of character of it, like basically it's all about your different children have different traits, and that can be quite funny. But I don't want to talk about it any more than that. It's because then Rob can see it, and we'll maybe have some entertainment from it.
Woo!
All right then. So yeah, there's that, and that was pretty much it, I guess. I can't remember anything else off the top of my head. And we've talked, the podcast is nearly over, so we don't move on.
Cool, yeah. You need to quickly rattle off.
You played some more Kerbal.
Yeah, most people playing Kerbal. I'm shit at it. I think
not that bad.
I think I fluked it getting to the moon and back. I don't know how I managed that. Now when I try and redesign my heavy lifting rocket, it just constantly explodes. Yeah,
you're having the problem that I thought you would, but somehow you didn't the first time, where the joins between the tanks blow up all the time.
Yeah, a lot of that. I've had trouble where it blows up, and then I add... No. What happens? It gets less reliable when I add more struts. Yeah. So it's like...
That always sucks.
Yeah, sometimes. Like, I was trying to...
Well, it's because you can, because the struts are, actually really solid compared to what you'd think they are, considering how thin they look. Yeah. It's like if you strut across between things that can wobble sideways, and then there's a joint in the middle, they can pull that joint apart easier than the vertical can, if you see what I mean.
So would you have to strap vertically as well?
Yeah, you have to think about which parts are vibrating in which direction to make it more stable sometimes.
Right, okay. I need to work out a bit more. Because I basically had... my main design it was the full diameter, the thick ones, yeah. So one in the middle and 4 on the outside.
Yeah.
And then they were connected to each other, but also to the central one, which you can't do if you have 6 around, obviously, because there's not enough space to connect them to the middle one. Yeah. So then you're in trouble. So I had 4, which was less. But then I tried I wanted more thrust on the first stage because it didn't have enough velocity, so I put solid boosters in the gap.
Yeah, as you do. And that worked okay for a while, but then I was randomly getting it where when it blew up, and then I look at the report, and the first thing in the report was always structural failure between something,
and it was always the engine has fallen off the fuel tank.
Right.
And what would happen is as well, you could see when it fell off or when it happened, sometimes the engine would move stages, it would go straight to the first stage. It was in the bottom stage. on the UI on the left, and then when it failed, it moved.
Well, that's sort of due to like it always wants to show you engines that are still active,
but they were still firing, and the fuel was going down or whatever. But it moved, and I knew something was wrong. You could drag it back, but it's like something is going horribly wrong, and it's like it works sometimes, but then when I try to improve it, it gets worse. It's a nightmare.
Maybe I'll look at it. You can load it up.
It's not very good.
And I'll have a look at it.
No, you could probably come up with something better.
Need to do like structural lessons.
Well, there's got to be. I think I just fluked it there first. I don't know, because I wanted to get
designs. That's what I'm telling you.
I wanted to get a little bit more fuel up there,
Yeah.
And my staging was a bit wrong because, I mean, it was okay because the first stage. Is that right? The first stage got me to 10,000 feet, which is when you want to tilt over, basically.
Right. Yeah.
But then the second stage was a bit too big because it got me to my orbital height, the apoapsis thingamajig.
Yeah.
We're at like 100,000 kilometers.
Yeah, whatever orbital height you want, really.
Yeah, but then it still had some fuel left. But it was really awkward to maneuver because that stage is freaking huge. Yeah. So then to do the boost to circularize the orbit, it didn't have enough.
Right.
But it would randomly blow up at that point because it was like too much.
Okay.
Too much power. So I got too much fuel up there and it was in the wrong stage. So what I needed was a bigger third stage and a smaller second stage. So I was trying to get that to work, but not having much luck. Basically, because I was trying to get more fuel in the third stage, but the trouble was my third stage was only one thick.
Yeah, the thin one.
But then if you add more to that, it gets longer and then it gets wobblier.
Yeah, how wobbly.
Yeah, and then it doesn't even fit in a building like sometimes. So it depends. I changed my lander I just wanted to get a decent rocket, so I loaded up a lander from the examples and just tried to build a rocket underneath.
Right. Yeah.
Rather than my insane. Got off the wiki Apollo 11, which was awesome because I did the flipping over and the landing, and that was super cool. But I'm not having much luck. And then I tried. Sometimes it was like, oh, okay, I've got solid rocket boosters, but it's falling apart on the engines, so I add more, and it works better mysteriously. And then it's like, I don't know, it's mysterious. I feel like, and also it's very irritating when you're trying to build the thing and the things don't snap on properly, and it's like there's no reason why, because if you look at it from a slightly different direction, then sometimes it will snap.
It's the things where you've got like a force symmetry and you're trying to attach radial, and then for some reason that just doesn't go sometimes. No. And you're just like jiggle it around a while, and then look, it goes.
And it's like, I had at one point where I put them in separately because they weren't fitting in on the full symmetry.
Oh no.
But then you're in real trouble because the fuel, presumably because of my pipes, the fuel was pumping at different rates into different parts, and different engines were stopping at different times for no fucking reason.
Well, you have to be careful with the fuel pipes because it's always it always drains the furthest out tanks first into the middle and in the direction that you attach them, so you have to make sure you always go outer to inner.
Oh, I didn't know that.
The pipes have little arrows on them in case you...
Oh, do they?
Yeah,
okay.
So you can see which way around you're
So you always connect the strap from the middle to the...
Yeah, from the outer tanks to the inner tanks, and then that's the direction the fuel flows as well.
Oh, shit, okay. That changes everything.
The other trouble with that is that you also... There's no way to control that. So if you've got them attached outer to inner, they'll always drain...
Into the middle,
so the outer will always run out first.
Okay.
You can't use it to distribute the fuel, really.
And there's no way to add the structural support without that fuel pumping.
Well, no, the struts are different from the pipes.
But the struts do.
No, the struts don't. Struts are only structural. They say anything that says it can transfer fuel, that just means you can manually transfer fuel.
Right. Okay.
Like the pipes are only for automatic.
Oh, I see. Okay, maybe I need to add some pipes then in some places or something. I don't know. I don't know, they were running out at just the right time unless they got confused. And it's like, oh, fuck's sake. And I got really annoyed at it at one point. It's like, God damn it, this should work. I've got so many fucking struts. God damn it. It's covered in struts.
Yep.
It didn't help.
Sometimes too many is just bad
And
enough.
It's such a simple design as well. I've seen some crazy-ass ones, but if you just Google Mon Rocket on Google Images, they've all got that ridiculous, asparagus staging
fancy
shit.
asparagus.
Yeah.
I never really used that. That's like a cheap trick, though.
Yeah, I hope they patch that out because it's dumb. But I hope they make it a little bit easier, at least to get to fucking orbit with a decent amount of fuel.
It's not that hard. You just haven't hit it yet, I don't think.
No. Well, yours
the thing. This is part of the original
anyway?
challenge of the game, isn't it? The whole game is this learning curve.
Yeah.
Well, it's fine. It just explodes.
Yeah, that's like a learning curve that really shouldn't be there. It's like if everything was a bit more like that report at the end where it just says structural failure between this and this.
It doesn't tell you which one it was. Or
what the fuck does that even mean?
Yeah.
It's like it needs like that old, like the bridge building game. It's like it needs a stress mode where it just colours it by stress or whatever.
Or you could have does the game offer you replays?
You can launch the same rocket again.
Yeah, and watch as careful as you can.
Yeah, that's what you really want, is to be able to go back in time a little bit and go, okay, let's see if we can spot what went wrong.
Well, the trouble is that when something does go wrong, it just vanishes.
Yeah.
It just goes poof.
Yeah. I don't know.
So,
it's like, it's cool. I like it. I like doing all the maneuvers and stuff. It was fun landing on the moon and stuff. Yeah. I'd quite like to be able to go to another planet, but I don't think I'll have enough fuel unless I get it up.
The few times that I've tried to do planetary stuff, I still barely even have enough fuel to. I mean, I've managed parachute landings on other planets.
Right.
But, you don't need any fuel then. As long as you hit the planet, you're good.
I thought I might experiment with the nuclear engine for the third stage, but it's so small.
The nuclear engine is awesome in space because it's so insanely fuel efficient.
That's all you need.
But it really has like super low power. So if you're trying to do like the planet transition on only a nuclear engine, it will take fucking forever.
Right.
Like on my...
But can you have like 3 of them?
Yeah, if you do like 5 or something, you can
Do they need fuel then?
Yeah.
How do they work? They work on the normal fuel?
Yeah, it's not actually nuclear.
Oh.
Nuclear just is an excuse for how efficient they are.
It's just like the ion engine things.
So. No, they're literally supposed to be nuclear engines, which is dumb now, I realise. Yeah. I thought there was just like, this will just work forever.
No. The ion engines are a different thing, and they're only tiny for like tiny little probes or satellites.
Yeah.
And they run on a different fuel.
Electric, yeah.
Well, electric and xenon.
Right.
For the actual ion
engines. Right. But that'll last for ages.
Yeah, that will last forever. But that's even slower. I was experimenting doing where I was just building a massive array of 20 ion engines with tons of fuel to see if it will ever get up to a decent manoeuvring speed. And it really doesn't.
Right.
And when you've got that many engines attached to a thing, everything gets really fucking wobbly.
Yeah.
Even under that tiny amount of rust. So yeah, ion engines not really useful for pretty much anything, really.
I would be interested to know what your basic heavy lifter design is.
Well, I guess I can show you. Maybe.
That'd be cool.
Or just hash one up and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, give me a go.
So we'll see.
More videos happen then, maybe.
Maybe.
You're just seeing all my designs failing spectacularly.
That's the best bit.
We need a name for this feature.
Dan fails at Kerbal's Space Rover. Yeah. That'll do.
Floating rocket.
Okay. Anyway, that's that.
Cape Dan. Space Center.
I'm still thinking of buying Forza Horizon just for a laugh, for a nice summer game.
It seems quite well suited as a summer game, I'll give you that.
Yeah, I quite like just driving, like in GTA, so if there's a game where there's the occasional, I can just drive around, and then there's the occasional event, that'd be fun. Also, with proper car physics rather than
Burnout Paradise.
Exactly. Well, you're so fast, you're going to run out of road in no time, and you're in a city, I guess. Whereas at least with Forza Horizon, you've got Colorado.
Half the map is city.
Yeah.
Burnout Paradise, but
I think could be fun. But I have it on Amazon Price Tracker, and it got down to £22, and I think it just went back up to 27. And which is fascinating if you ever see those Amazon Price Trackers, because the price changes on everything all the time. Even if it's just 50p,
but are they tracking their reseller things? Because
they track those as well.
It's not always Amazon, is it?
They track those as well, but I always go for that.
Okay, so you can choose to track pure Amazon.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's Prime eligible as well. I've got that thing as well, so I don't have to pay the postage.
Yeah, looking for an excuse to use your Prime.
Yeah, pretty much. There's no real reason for it. So I'm
except for the fact that it would get you out of paying for postage if you pre-ordered an Xbox.
Would it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Prime eligible. But
yeah, I'm still leaning towards PS4, but I think money-wise it's going to be just buy a graphics card currently, unless I suddenly get a pay rise or another job or something.
Yeah, there is still the question of whether the Xbox's higher price is going to be a problem.
For whom?
Well, for Microsoft, or for people wanting one.
Yeah, I don't think it'll matter at launch.
No, but the immediate after launch zone where there may not be quite such good availability, or the people that didn't go launch are probably umming and ahhing about whether they can or not, or I wonder if it will hurt them.
I still think this always connect thing, because I think Joe Public doesn't necessarily know about that, and when it comes around to launch and they're actually queuing out to buy one, and then they realise, it's got this camera that's always on, they're going to be like, what?
It's fine, I'll wrap a towel in it, or I'll just turn it off at the plug when I'm not using it.
Yeah, literally, can I buy an Xbox One, please, and a roll of electrical tape? Yeah, thanks.
The Mad Cat's Connect cover.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I did see...
Nyko. Specially moulded bit of plastic that just slips nicely.
Yeah.
Nyko did announce something that pleased me, because I looked up, by the way, that you can't... It is difficult to get HDMI audio out of HDMI for my purposes. So I can plug HDMI into that monitor, but I can't get the audio out of it.
Right.
And you can buy things that extract it, but they're expensive. They're like 50 quid or plus or whatever. But just around E3, Nyko announced, because they realised that all the consoles would have this problem, they announced a little connector. It won't be 50 quid, I would presume.
Well, yeah.
So
that just extracts the audio and puts it into like a phono stream.
And passes through the rest onto and so you'd have to have two HDMI cables, but that's fine.
Oh, what? So it would split HDMI into another HDMI cable, or one just carrying audio?
No, it's like HDMI in and HDMI out plus two left and right.
Oh, just white reds. Okay.
Yeah, white red. Yeah, so that's what I need. So
I'd be more interested if they could convert it to SPDIF, but get some optical going on.
I think SPDIF comes out of the console anyway, but I can't put that into my setup.
You're basically fucked when you go and get your new consoles and you have to deal with.
I'll have to colour console from the setup, like move the Xbox to my PC or something.
Because your ancient ass amp already barely handles what you have.
If my amp supported HDMI audio, then I wouldn't have a problem. But I currently have to. I was lucky my Skybox supported coax audio. If it wasn't for that, then I would already be fucked. But then that might not be a problem if I'm feeding HDMI from the Skybox into the Xbox, if that works.
I guess.
If that shit all comes together.
Yeah.
And if the Skybox can send surround through HDMI, I don't know if it can, but blah. I haven't got very long to talk about my games.
No, how many have you got?
A few.
Okay.
So I'm going to try and thrash them out.
Well, thrash out the ones you don't care about so much.
Alright, so... Well, the one... Okay. The one I don't care about... Well, I do care about it, but there's not much to talk about. I played a bit more DMC.
Yep, it's still awesome, presumably.
It's still amazing, but shit, that's getting fucking hard now. I'm past the halfway point on Son of Sparta difficulty.
Yeah.
And it's like, they're just throwing the most awkward combinations of enemies at me now, and it's like, this is fucking hard.
Do you care about that shit, Zach? Out of interest.
Well,
are you going to play that?
I'm not interested enough to really care about it in order to buy it unless it was extremely cheap.
But
I was going to digital lend it to you, so when we get to the Game of the Year considerations.
That would make everything a lot easier for us.
Yeah, certainly.
Hurry up, Steve!
Maybe that's another video we need to do. You play the first few levels of DMC or something on a video stream.
Maybe.
I hope you like it because it's friggin' awesome. Problem is that game is not very compatible with my hands, I suppose, for when if I jump from that to dust.
Oh, right.
I get the control schemes kind of mixed up.
Right.
Like I'll be used because they use different but similar buttons for dodging. Like DMC uses the bumpers and Dust uses the triggers.
Right.
So I keep pushing the wrong buttons between. Like attack by default on DMC is Y, but it's X on Dust. That kind of thing. So I get really fucked up. But I've played a lot more Dust.
Speaking of ridiculous controller things, very briefly, that Rogue Legacy game. It's on the PC, but frankly, you need an Xbox controller to play that because basically once you get the ability to use it's basically like a slide that boosts you forwards. You really need that on triggers because there's no way you can do that on a keyboard to be pushing left and right and.
There's no convenient way. Anyway.
No. So yeah.
All right.
I'm using an Xbox controller for that again.
Okay, shut up. There's
talking about Dust.
I've played a lot more Dust. That game is lasting longer than I thought it would.
Man, I've been so tempted to buy that. Waiting for the sale.
The Steam Summer Sale. Probably 2 weeks away.
I saw you play that. I saw the artwork for that.
It's fucking awesome.
Amazing looking. Well, doesn't appeal to me at all. For some reason, it's like anathema to me. Like, I couldn't care less about it. For some reason, it was like a complete turn-off, but I can see how that's, like,
it's aesthetically lovely, but just not for you.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I just don't like... I can see the skill in the aesthetics, in the design, and in the artwork. But it's absolutely not my thing at all.
Oh, well, yeah, I get that, where a lot of people get turned off by the character designs, and we talked about that before. Sort of, there's a section where you see Dust, like, he takes his hat off.
Oh, no.
And it's like, oh god, you really shouldn't have done that. Like
he was cool and mysterious before.
Now when he does that, he looks like a pansy, and you're like, this is weird. Put your hat back. Fortunately, he puts it back on like after like a minute, and you're like, all is right with the world again. But yeah, that game was really good. I think past the halfway point, there's a section which there's a sort of like a gloomy, graveyardy sort of section, and the mountain sea, but it seems to drag for a while,
right?
Because there's no real story progression during that phase, and blah 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 blah. But by the time you get to the end of those points, some of the secrets get revealed, so it's got interesting again. But
did it get like dark, like I suspected that I did?
That game toys with the concept of racist genocide.
Yeah, that's what I sort of heard.
It's fucking bleak in places. Okay. But then, like, sort of sweeps that under the carpet, and then, like, oh, let's do some more light-hearted stuff. But the actual base plot line is that this general guy. Well, yeah, sort of spoilers. But you figure that you find out most of this after like 2 hours, like just after where I'd got to last time we talked. So General Gaius basically goes on a hate campaign against the Moonbloods, and which are this mysterious race that is never really talked about for much of the game.
Sure, you'll find out more at some point.
Yeah, well, you sort of do, yeah. But, yeah, and it's basically a campaign of genocide, and...
sounds like Harry Potter.
Yeah, it's...
Filthy Moonbloods.
Yeah, a little bit. But it doesn't really go too hard on that. And there are a couple of moments in the story where some characters die,
right? And
you're just like, oh shit, that's that you weren't really expecting to die, and you're like, oh really? Okay, balls. and there's just some moments where the way they treat death sometimes is just so casual. Like it's like they go like heavy at some moments, but then there are other moments where it's just like, Like there's a boss you kill early on in the game. But when they say that they're referring to things as actually you killing them. You're not just like knocking them out or stuff like that. They make a deal of you're killing them.
Right.
And at one point there's just one bit of dialogue where it's just like, yeah, you were right to kill him. And you're just like, that seems kind of a light sentence about someone you thought was previously your friend, and it's just like, you were right to kill him. And it's just sort of said so offhand that it's like, okay. So some of the tone stuff is a bit weird, I have to say. But like, I almost wish they went more with the dark path, because the dark path is really quite interesting. But no, I love the combat in that game. I've spent way too long just fucking about in the world rather than progressing.
Right.
Like just trying to like
make combos and shit.
Yeah, I'm making the mistake of I went for the 1,000-hit combo and got that eventually. That took friggin' ages. I perhaps did that. Well, the problem is if you leave that too late, you get too strong, so you don't need as many hits. There's like a sweet spot where you need to be like just powerful enough to pull it off. So I wonder if it's possible you could miss that stuff, unless you use one of the items that cripple you.
Or start a new game.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. So that was kind of fun trying to achieve. But I think I've been doing the sort of Metroidvania thing too much, because it doesn't really work that well. As in, go back to an area, go to the areas I now realise I can reach, because you don't. The story doesn't really force you to backtrack. You go there of your own will, or you want to do a side quest,
right? And
it's like, so there are a lot of places where you go to this area and it's like, I still can't do that, or I've forgotten quite what the thing was.
It doesn't mark it on the map like explicitly. It's like, this is where you need to go if you have the wall.
Yeah, no, it shows you areas where there's still stuff to find, but it doesn't tell you what you need to do.
Yeah, if you don't remember.
The map isn't that detailed to sort of say, hey, this is like in Metroid, this is a wave gun door, or something like that. So it's like, sometimes I've been backtracking a lot and going, oh fuck, we've got like less than a minute.
Yep. Backtracking just like that.
Little Inferno, made by the World of Goo guys. I completed it, worth a play. Not much I can say, except you burn shit, and burning shit is cool. The rest of the game is spoiler-tastic, has a message in there similar to Spec Ops. You have been warned.
There you go.
That's the minor spoiler warning, but I thought it was pretty cool. Quite aesthetically nice. Good fire effect.
That would be the key to the whole game, right?
Apparently the iOS version is pretty sweet as well, although I played the PC version and it's just fine. Cool. Not really a game.
No.
Well, that's it.
And that's it. Nothing else really important to say.
Cool. Well, we'll hear more next time.
Yep, Rob will have to go first next time.
Indeed, yes. That is the contract that will be fulfilled.
I will do an
Thanks for joining us on the Saladcast. Goodbye, everyone who is listening to this. Goodbye.
Goodbye, my friend.